follow me when the sky starts to change. Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
All right, guys. So we talked about this for quite some time on the channel. This is our new weekly show, Grappling of the Week. I hope all of you guys enjoy. And I just wanted to give you guys our intro before we get into the show tonight because we got a lot to talk about. And this is going to be a thing you see here every single Thursday. So let's just hop into this. So I want to say hello to all you weebs and welcome to Grappling with the Week, the show that brings you the hottest wrestling news and highlights from the steamy kitchens of NXT to the gritty, fast-paced action of AEW. We talk about it all and give you a big discussion piece to truly satisfy the hunger of wrestling content. Brought to you by Anime Week Studios and hosted by your Weebs of the Ring crew. Enough of the introductions. Let's stomp a mud hole into this week, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin would be proud of. And
oh, hell yeah.
And as you guys know, I am the genius of the mat, drop this box, and I really do like that nickname because I'm completely behind EO entering this Rumble season, so that's very fitting. And I want to introduce first our world champion Watkins. How are you doing today?
Oh, how's it going, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, welcome to Grappling with the Week. Again, like Drop has said, we have been planning this for ages. We have been going back and forth on how we're going to structure everything, and it's good to just kind of be in a setting where, like, we don't have to talk about a specific show or specific storylines. We can just talk about everything that's going on. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good tonight.
Love to hear. I'm yourself, the visionary legendary Vash, and we're here to launch Grappling with the Week. Glad that everyone is here able to tune in. If you've been wondering, ask us, talk about NXT, talk about New Japan, talk about AEW, talk about TNA, other smaller promotions out there as well in the world and nationwide. We're here to talk about it. We see the clips online. Like if right now maybe Io Sky and I just drew his name. Zero Miedo. I just remember his name.
Penta.
Oh, Penta?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. His name just left my head. Penta has a match. We will talk about that if it happened around this time now. So we hope that everyone can enjoy the show to talk about other wrestling promotions and talk about the news that comes out throughout the week. So hopefully you guys can enjoy this show. If you're not always catch up to Raw and SmackDown, you could hear this show when we talk about the coverage and other promotions. So enjoy. And here's the visionary.
Letting his fellow luchadors down. Couldn't remember Penta's name.
No,
Tragic.
and he's like the most over person. I'm not saying like in the entire company, but he's gotten a huge reaction since he debuted last week, and it's unfortunate that you have his brother in the background and you can't even remember his name. So
look, I drew blank of his name because we have a lot of discussion. I'll look at the show notes and then I look at my screen and I see his brother Ray Phoenix behind him. And I just had a little brain fart. But I am excited to see Penta. I'm excited for this show to launch, and hopefully everyone enjoys the conversation. Time codes will always be provided throughout the discussion of our show. So if you missed the live stream, you can always check out the VOD and hear the discussion that we have for AEW, TNA, and other smaller promotions. So hopefully everyone gets to enjoy. Comment down below your thoughts about the episode and thoughts about the things we covered and the news. Who do you hate? Why you hurt? Tony Khan is an asshole. Is he a bad leader? We'll find out and discuss it.
Yeah, I think this might be the only time you really see me unfiltered outside of our usual discussions. But since we did talk about how we were going to go over our lineup today, I'm going to hand over the Raider Wrestling and Media discussion to Vash, and obviously me and Watkins will take part in that, giving our thoughts and stuff on it. But I'm going to hand it over to Vash to pretty much help us digest exactly what we're going to be talking there.
So for those that don't know, the greatest wrestling of media is to discuss about the highlight of any indie promotion that we have gone to, have visited, like myself, might be going to the House of Glory show this weekend in New York City, so go check it out. I might be there depending on funds, or anything else that's going on in interviews being hosted by any other content creators that we'll be watching, and is with wrestlers included. So for the first news, we have Tom Pestock, a former known as Baron Corbin, has trademarked the name as Bishop Dyers for entertainment use. How do you guys feel about this big news that we went from the transition of Baron Corbin now to the Bishop Dyers?
So was this something taken out of the Chris Van Vliet interview?
Correct.
Or is this...
So, well, yeah, report came out a little bit beforehand because he had filed for the trademark and all that, but a little bit more context came out during Chris Van Vliet's interview with him.
Yeah.
Mainly just like the reasoning behind the name, because like there's also like a title that goes with it. He's going to be known as the Nomad.
Yes.
Bishop Dyers.
And this is a level up from him being a Baron, because Bishop, it's a higher rank to a Baron. So he's calling himself like he's evolving. It's a better version of himself. And honestly, I appreciate the thoughts he put into it. Like the thought process, like it showed that he knew where to go. And he wanted to find something that evolved from Baron Corbin. How can he continue that type of lineage or evolution of that name or that character? So I'm really happy. And when the Nomad is honoring to that, he's trying to not say copy to Matt Cardona as being the indie god, but he's like a traveling nomad going to other indie wrestling and try to explore and expand, going to other places. So I see his vision and I really like it.
Yeah, right. And I think the Dyers thing comes from like the whole lone wolf thing too.
Yes,
so
correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's good to see they put some thought into it, because like when I first saw the name Bishop Dyers, I'm like, what? What are you talking about here, dude?
Yeah, I was a little confused about it too, but I'll probably get more insight like on it outside of what we talked about today once I check out the interview fully at work, because I normally try like listening to the Chris Van Vliet interviews, because I know they normally come out at the beginning of the week and then you get that last one on Thursday. Normally I have work on Friday, so I try listening to it as I'm working so I could fully get into, okay, who are the two people he had on the show, and then obviously his weekly recap that he normally puts out. So I am definitely excited to get into that.
Oh, yeah. I need to listen to more of him.
I say it's a good one, because for those that don't know, there's another two that came out with Mr. Perk, but a lot of people don't like being called that. Kurt Angle, and he had one with Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, but I haven't checked out myself too.
Those were good ones. Those are good ones. I checked them out.
I heard they were very good. I'm glad to hear that as well. But the next one is RVD gives update on Chris Bey recovery on his podcast. One of a kind, believes he will make a full recovery. How do you guys feel about this update? I am unfamiliar about this one, so I'll give it to you guys. How do you guys feel about this news update about the health and recovery?
It's so to kind of give light on what happened. So like Chris Bey, he basically he suffered a very serious injury during a tag team match with the Hardys during a TNA taping, and it could have been career threatening, like to the point where he was paralyzed for a bit. So, and because like TNA, like all these stars, all these wrestlers started getting together, kind of like getting money for him, like for his treatment and whatever he needed done and all. Yeah, it was like a big thing.
Oh, it was beautiful.
I remember, I think they've been trying to put like merch sales towards it. I remember it being, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been referenced on Genesis talking about him. If I'm not
I
mistaken.
think they might
I know
have.
Punk gave him
Yeah.
a shout out on the Netflix debut. I do recall that.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that. But yeah, RVD mentioned this on on his own podcast, the One of a Kind podcast. He did give a bit of an update here. I got the quote right here. Chris Bey happens to live very close to us. Katie and I went and visited him because he made it home. He was stuck in the hospital for about 2 months. He had a match. If you don't know, with the Hardy Boys, I know very little about it. But yeah, so Chris broke his neck and then he was paralyzed. But he doesn't know how much he can talk about it yet. But he does want to say that he's going to wait until like he's ready to talk. So when Chris Bay is ready, he'll talk about like his experiences and how he's been going. But he was invited onto RVD's podcast, and he's in much better shape than anyone imagined, and much better than um when he was paralyzed for a time. So he's getting better. So like he's not paralyzed and he's getting everything back to normal. Now it's going to be a long road for him to get back to any sort of semblance of normalcy in his life, but it's at least good to know that he's doing well and that there is a light at the end of his tunnel that is still on this earth.
Yeah.
not in another realm.
Also a good thing to point out is that GoFundMe for Bay has raised over $107,000, which is great to see. So hopefully that keeps going up.
Yeah. So make sure to check out the links wherever you can find them and all that, and help out if you can. I'm sure they still need help with it. So again, it's just good to hear people, coming back from a huge injury like that. Like, I mean, we've seen people like Daniel Bryan and Edge and Paige come back from near career-ending injuries. We're still praying for Big E to come back.
Yeah.
But it's just good to hear that that there is hope out there and all that.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that we could ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll say the next, big news when it comes to the greatest of media is Sabu's retirement match set for Joey Janela's spring break that is scheduled to retire later this year. How do you guys feel about one last match out of him?
I mean, it's always great.
About the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great to see, them finally, getting ready to, hang up the boots and everything, because he's had he had quite a career. I can't really say that I followed it all the way through because I wasn't really around the time when everything was like fully in motion, but I did see bits and pieces of it growing up. But it's nice to see that something like this could come together, because I'll actually read this one. It says Sabu's legendary professional wrestling career will come to an end over WrestleMania 41 weekend. So I assume it's probably a Saturday or a Sunday. Not sure if it says the date on here.
Yeah.
Yet.
I think there is a date around here. Yep.
It says Joey Janela defeated Tanaka at the People versus GCW, from the Hammerstein Ballroom, which I know was taking place around the same time that Genesis was on, because I did see things back and forth between both of them. And following the match,
okay.
lights went out and a career retrospective for Sabu aired before the ECW legend appeared behind Janela. Janela then challenged Sabu to face him at Joey Janela's Spring Break 9 in what will be Sabu's retirement match. The match would be held on Friday, April 18th in Las Vegas, Nevada. Sabu stated in 2024 that Game Changer Wrestling wanted to hold his retirement match in January 2025, which is assumed to be at the People versus GCW. Sabu noted he wasn't going to be ready for the event, however, instead wanted to retire in Las Vegas. He's been wrestling since 1985, which explains earlier, like I said, I didn't really follow him all the way through. And he has worked for the likes of Extreme Championship Wrestling, which you guys know as ECW, WWE, AEW, TNA, WCW, and New Japan over his long career. He's primarily associated with ECW, where he had 2 reigns as ECW World Champion and a classic program with Rob Van Dam. And he has not wrestled since July 2021.
As somebody that has not wrestled since 2021, I say like that's literally a good 4 years. About to be in this coming July. It's good that he's not rushing himself in, and he's at least planning the retirement before he cannot no more because of health reasons. So I'm glad that he gets his opportunity to choose when he wants to retire, and he's finding his right time because, as Job spoke about, he's been wrestling since 1985. That's a good long time, and right now is a perfect time because 1985, I believe that's 40 years right now exactly. So you hit the mark of Sting as well. Sting just retired last year on his 40th anniversary, and also Sting is gonna be retiring his full boots and gear and face paint. So it shows that the old wrestlers that our older generation and the current ones that we are now, the people that we grew up with or the people that were closely, going on that last legs are now retiring fully. So it just shows time is an essence, and just old man time don't wait.
Yeah. Time is a human construct of perception. God, the fact that Sabu is still even walking to this day. Like, I mean, I didn't follow his career too closely, but I know enough to know that man put his body on the line for about 20 years. And like give or take a few other years beyond that. Like the fact that man is not paralyzed is a godsend in its own right.
There is a blessing for you when you have the will to continue going. Like many people like Edge or any other wrestler has been doing it for 20 years. It's like, wow, that's amazing. But to see these wrestlers like Sting, Sabu for 40 years, it could be for them on and off, but still, you've been putting the work in your body for 40 years in this one career, in this one job. That's insane. So props to you.
Oh, yeah.
Not many people could do that. So congrats yourself with his retirement. Hopefully it goes out the way that you can vision it, because so many people, like we heard, hasn't got the opportunity. Like Kurt Angle, he wants to John Cena to be his last opponent. Many other wrestlers could have never gotten their wish or what they have envisioned. So for Sabu to saying, hey, in January I wasn't ready, I wanted to push it for Las Vegas, then best of luck. Hopefully it goes out your way and the way you vision it when the time comes for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But then I'll say let's pass it down for the next segment. Let's go back to Drop.
Yeah, so this is going to be a segment called Turnbuckle Tidbits, and this is pretty much the part of the show where we talk about NXT and AEW Dynamite, because that's normally not something that me, Watkins, and Vash talk about throughout the week. We normally talk about Raw, SmackDown. We do the PLEs over the weekend. We do every so often when they have those, because I do believe they're also supposed to be having some press conference for WrestleMania. More than likely going to be streaming that. I feel like that'd be good content for us. But basically, this is just, and every so often, me and Vash do stuff for NXT on Twitch when we post our little clips and everything. But this is pretty much where you're going to get that sort of news when it comes to the good things, the bad things, and also the mediocre things at best. And if you ever want to hear our thoughts on anything outside of what we normally talk about, this is the right spot to do it. So, this is going to be very fun because we have our first one about Ricky Starks, and I believe this came out today, if I'm not mistaken. I remember seeing something.
So yeah. This is just an ongoing story when it comes to people like Ricky Starks and Miro and Malachi Black, and we'll be mentioning Britt Baker and Ray Fenix in this as well. Yeah. But a new bit of information came out with Ricky Starks dealing with his contract and all that, because hey, he's a good boy, he's a good person to like have on your roster and all that. And apparently we found out that he did actually ask for his release. So this is according to Ibo or Ibu, however you pronounce his Twitter name or whatever. I'm really bad with pronunciations until I actually hear it.
Yeah, Ibu, you got it.
Ibu. Okay, good. I got it right the first time. Perfect. Excellent. But yeah, so this is basically just a quote from him. At the end of the day, things happen to where he's on the outs with AEW right now. It is what it is. There's a lot of things, and most of it will never be reported. But ultimately, there's a falling out there, and it is what it is. So, whatever. Bullshit like that. He's asked for a release. Tony won't give it to him, and he's just going to wait the rest of his deal out. He's going to stay relevant by working indie dates, and good for him, happy for him, all that stuff. So it's a good thing that Ricky's at least able to do indie dates, so he's at least still able to kind of keep, keep the ring. What word am I looking for?
Keep his body
Basically,
in the
keep
ring
himself. Yeah, keep the ring rust off of him and be able to still hone his craft and still be of relevance in the worldwide wrestling sphere of things. Now he'll be an entertainer someday, but that's neither here nor there. Tony Khan not letting him out of his contract though. Now that's an interesting thing to note because that is something that we, especially me and Drop, following from back then, and I'm sure Vash, you've heard this too. This has been something that is a big Vince McMahon thing to do, where he would just hold people's contracts. He wouldn't give them their release even when they asked them, And it's interesting because you're not using the person, but you're not giving them their release. So what is it, a you thing? Is it a contract thing? What do you guys think about all this? Because this is a hot topic to go on with. Because Ricky Starks is not the only one in this.
If I may give the perspective of as somebody who has worked in the entertainment industry and I have signed a lot of contracts, a lot of NDAs, when I work for Disney, Hulu, Fox, and said other companies, these contracts, I'll be honest, as somebody who didn't used to read them, I would not. I would literally sign all 20 pages and be like, hey, I sold my soul. Who knows what happens? I found 10 years later that I sold my soul to Disney. Who knows? But when it comes down now, I sign the NDAs more often and I read them. And when it comes to contracts, they're very fine by print. They're very detailed. And it sucks that there is a respect of contract that you could abide to it or you could break a contract. Is it where if he breaks it, does he have to pay $500 million or $500,000? And he doesn't have that to break the contract. But what sucks is that you want to work because Ricky Starks has been in an interview with Chris Bey, and it's been public has said that he wants to work, he wants to be involved. He has reached out to the writers' room. Nobody answers. He doesn't find no information. He's been out of the loop, like it's been said. And to not even get told, hey, come to work, come to this, and just be told, hey, just do whatever you want, go to indie shows. But when there's another company like WWE, TNA, and others that will probably want to work with you and do stuff, but you can't because of a contract. And I know recently, I believe Baron Corbin or somebody else online was defending people to break the contract or not, or I think it was Dijak or somebody. If I'm wrong, please correct me. Baron Corbin. Yeah. So it just shows that it's a hit or miss. But when it comes to Ricky Starks, I say if it doesn't hurt you, if you get a bad rap, break the contract. But if it's where you gotta pay $1 million because you're breaking it early or something, and you want to work, you want to have the hustle, and you don't want to lose the momentum of who you are because you're young, you're able to do work with others and do good in the ring and also have good promo work. Hey, you are a star. You could get back the money. So if you got to spend something, get a loan out, just get out the contract, then just find a lawyer, see some way to get out, because it sucks that you have the liberty to be used, but you're not being able to. That sucks as an opportunity.
Yeah. And it's my whole issue with this entire thing is first off, he hasn't been on television since March 2024. So we're at the end of January right now, so we're about to be approaching a year. And my thing is on that, it's I understand what people say about the whole contract thing. Yeah, you sign something, you got to agree to it. But my whole issue with is you have Ricky Starks, which he's very charismatic, very good on the mic, very good in the ring, has a lot of potential to become something big. I truly believe in that. I'm pretty sure just like you guys do. And I just find it weird how you can't really put him on AEW television. Like, if you're not going to put him on Dynamite, you could put him on Collision. You could put him on Ring of Honor. At least do something with him. Or even when they do these little New Japan stuff, or whenever AEW normally does their little cross-brand thing, where they have their guys going over there, fighting the other, having a wrestling match with the other people. You could easily do something like that with him. Even if it's not like on the A show, like Dynamite, you could at least put him on any other show if you want to use him in any capacity. Because normally, like, the people that we don't normally see, they usually have a spot on Ring of Honor. Like, I'm pretty sure that's where Sammy Guevara is. Because I know him and Dustin are champions down there right now. He was the guy that you normally saw on Dynamite all the time. He appears there every so often, but obviously he's a tag champ with Dustin, so he's holding ground over there. If you're not going to put Ricky on AEW television, you could put him on Ring of Honor or like something along the lines of that, because it doesn't make sense to just have people on a contract just because you want them on a contract, because that's just very weird to me. Because if you have no plan for them, and we've seen several reports saying that there's no plans for these guys, they're just chilling at home. And like Vash said in the Chris Van Vliet interview, he doesn't like standing at home. He's a young guy. He likes moving. Normally, any other person would be like, shit, I'm getting paid loads of money to sit on my ass. Fuck it, I'll take it. I mean, hell, if I would probably do something like that too. But if I had to
see more content from me,
but
exactly, be home in the stream, do something with yourself.
Yeah.
But he wants to be a wrestler.
Yeah, that's my point. But if you got to look at it from like someone else's mindset, because a lot of people love the grind. A lot of people like waking up every single morning to exercise, do this or that to keep themselves up in shape. That's pretty much I'm pretty sure that's the sort of mindset Ricky has. He takes care of himself. He wants to make sure that he's putting himself out there, because and I know he does. Because he said it in the Chris Van Vliet interview and other interviews I've seen him a part of before, and just the sort of comments he doesn't give a fuck what people think. He'll go back and forth with people online, like he said during that interview. He believes in himself because he knows he's the shit, and it's good to have a mindset like that if you know that you're above how you want to like see yourself out there. And I gotta respect him for that, for having that sort of mindset. I always respect people that sort of mindset. So it's like the fact that his contract is ending, I believe it said like sometime in the spring heading into the summer, which is what I recall seeing from a Fightful report. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, dude, it's like it's almost time there. It's going to be ending soon. Like, what's another 3 to 4 months? Like, just let the guy roam free. I mean, it's good that he's doing independent shows. It's nice that he last Friday was able to do a House of Glory show with Mike Santana, which we'll talk about him a little bit later once we talk about Genesis. He was able to have a match with Mike Santana during the House of Glory show. I heard a lot of good things about that. Ricky Starks is also supposed to be there for this Saturday's House of Glory show. Hopefully Vash is able to catch that. I would actually recommend to get that. I would actually recommend to get that Absolute Ricky Stark shirt I saw over there. It actually looks pretty legit. Looks really dope.
Ask him if he's a JoJo's fan. If you get a chance, be like, hey, do you know JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? I need to know, because like with his poses, with his damn poses, it makes me think of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
I mean, hey Vash,
you got it. You got it.
I mean, hey Vash, if you have any funds on the side, I mean, take a picture of him, get his autograph, whatever. Yeah. Ricky Starks is awesome. But it's like I honestly just, if it was up to me, if I had that sort of mindset, I would be like, okay, if I have certain people I want to push and I have certain people that I don't really have any plans for, I don't ever imagine myself being in this situation, but I would just let people out of their contract. Like, I don't want it to be over like some petty shit where it's like, oh, I know he's going to WWE, that's why I want to keep on the contract. Because if you think about it, it's like that. It's like, how are you preventing the inevitable? Because regardless if you hold him captive with the contract now or not, or whoever, and this could be complete bullshit, but just saying that it's like a legit thing. Like, regardless if you're trying to keep him on hold because you want him to go over there or not, once the contract ends, that's the destination. So what are you really preventing in the long run? That's what doesn't make any sense to me.
And plus, if I may add as well, it just makes you look bad as well.
Mental health too. That's another thing.
That, but also it makes you as a leader, like, you as a CEO, Tony Khan, we understand that you have money,
I
but it makes your image look bad. People online,
Mhm.
other content creators are calling you a man baby because you have all this money that you're carrying around and you're keeping these people under contract and makes you look bad. Where it's like, what happened if other people from other company or new wrestlers that want to come and join your company and they're not being used, now they're being hesitant because they used to
That's the
see
thing.
AEW as an escape from WWE, and that's a
Yup.
bad thing. As an alternative, like, hey, if WWE or NXT now TNA, if they're being too booked with current wrestlers and you don't fit their story right now, you could go to AEW and be featured on TV, be featured on Ring of Honor, Collision, Rampage that used to be, but Dynamite. You could be presented in this type of capacity, but now you're not, and that's a disappointing aspect
No.
of what any type of worker employee wants to go to company. Like, damn, it used to AW, it used to be you. Now it's like, damn, I'd rather work my ass off more so I could be a good sell product for WWE. Go to go to a performance center, do something like that. So it makes you look bad, and that's very disappointing. That's on the car because light drop. Like Walker said earlier, I was a big fan of AEW when it first started, and to see that as a millionaire, as a CEO
Mhm.
company who's booking people and don't want to use somebody as an employee, just have them on payroll. Like Drop said, hey, some people could be lazy, just be enjoying this money and be a Twitch streamer for the meantime, like Xavier Woods and others doing up and down down. It could be successful, but if you're not doing nothing like that, it just makes you like you're being a boggle. For anybody that knows Spanish, you know what that is in English. You're
Oh,
being a
yeah.
bum. So
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
help out, and it just sucks for Ricky Stark because I know he has potential, he has the talent, and he wants to do something with his life. My man, I think he's 25, I believe. I'm gonna go check real quick how old
Yeah.
this man is.
Well, like, so like while you're checking that, because this whole conversation, like, there's many factors to it, like, because like there's the whole thing. A few reports coming out saying like, oh, they add like there apparently in this contract there was like an additional year they could add that they did, and it's like, okay, well, you're coming up on that year and you haven't done shit with this dude. Like, are you just doing this just to make him ice cold from the heat that he had? But like, there are also like other reports too, just from like other people. Like we had Lucha Libre under online have a tweet earlier this week that
Oh, yeah.
stated that two of their talents allegedly revealed to them that they were more open to exploring the possibility of joining WWE. Why is that? Because they saw how Penta was treated.
Yep.
Like they saw how his day, and not only just Penta, they saw how Cody was treated. They saw how Ethan Page. I mean,
Jade.
say what you want about NXT, but like he's
Jade
thriving
as
in
well?
NXT. Like he won the NXT title in what the first month or two that he was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like the dude like had a rocket strapped to him. He talked to The Rock. He interacted with Punk. Like he's being put on this pedestal, like being groomed in the positive way, obviously, being groomed into like this big star for the main roster when he gets up there. And like these AEW talents are seeing that, and especially the ones that we know of that kind of want out, like
Alexis.
Ray Phoenix, for example. Like you see right behind Vash, he's crying. The dude had a picture the other day that
Akon.
that screamed, "Get me out of here!"
Yeah, lock up and let me out. By the way, Ricky Stark is age 34. He was born 1990. He's the height of 6 feet. This man is 31 years old.
Wait, what month was he born? I need to know. I need
He
to know.
debuted in 2011. He is born in February 21st.
Oh, you bastard!
Yeah, but
You're freaking
but yeah, it's
10
like
months older than me.
yeah, but it's like the people that like we know about. Just running off the top of my head, you got like Ray Phoenix, which we already know that once he's done over and everything's over, all said and done, more than likely they'll be setting up an angle where Ray Phoenix comes in, and then that's when everything gets into motion with the Lucha Brothers being a tag team over there. Not saying that Penta can't still do his single stuff. Ray Phoenix can do that
Right.
too, but obviously they'll more than likely set up an angle to introduce him. We also have Miro. We don't really know for sure like what's going on with him. I did see something like a couple months ago like sometime last year about his contract ending in 2026. But I remember seeing something last year. He asked for his release You also have who else am I thinking of? There's other people to like factor into this as well.
Well, Malachi Black is
Oh,
a
yeah,
recent one.
Oh yeah,
I
Malachi
mean,
Black
we know
actually.
he's out.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Like,
and what we actually do have some interesting discussion on him in a little bit because once we
the
get
whole
into
type of video
yeah,
package.
and it's actually
Where is he?
part of our discussion within our Turnbuckle Tidbits. So we'll definitely save the discussion for him. But like he's another one there too. Just to shed some light on him before we get into like the full on discussion. This is somebody that came in, lights went out, attacked Cody, and if I'm gonna be completely honest, I feel like that's the only thing you could really remember him by, based on what AEW really did when it comes to like a moment that really stood out. Because around that time, Cody was one of their top guys in the company. So obviously, imagine debuting in WWE for the first time and attacking Roman Reigns. Your name's already going to be put in the spotlight right there. So by Malachi attacking Cody Rhodes, I mean that was a moment that really helped them stand out. But like outside of like the House of Black stuff, really, I mean AEW never really made him a world champion. They didn't make him a TNT champion or whatever the case may be. Like he won the trios titles with the House of Black and everything along the lines of that, but there's not really a significant moment for him to like really stand out. And one of the things that I know Vash knows very well, because Vash definitely like dives really deep when it comes to mental health and everything whenever we have these discussions. Malachi Black's body language when he's on AEW television, like you can tell, especially once we start getting into our Dynamite discussion, you can tell based off the body language alone when it comes to how a person shows themselves on television if they really want to be there or not. And a lot of people I know made claims about Malachi saying, oh, Malachi's washed, he can't do this or that anymore, which I don't personally believe. If you want to have an opinion like that, you're entitled to. I mean, that's how the world is. But to me, I look at that as a way where that's just a guy that doesn't want to be there to work. Because when I saw him on the indie show, that guy was moving around like he was a fucking boomerang, like the Malachi that I know him to be. So it's kind of like, I'm leaning towards my observation where he just didn't want to be there. Which, I mean, if I'm being honest, if I didn't want to be somewhere either, I don't know if I would really want to put as much work towards that company. But just basically the whole presentation alone with Penta, like that came out a couple days ago, I mean, that speaks volumes. I mean, just look at this week with him. He has like that really cool spinning pyro. They're like, and you even saw that video that came out with Triple H trying to figure out exactly what he wants the presentation to be for Penta. So obviously people from AEW that want to join ship, and it could be other people we're not even talking about. They see stuff like that. They're like, holy shit, I want a piece of that. Holy shit, Cody Rhodes is the most over person in the company. He's our WWE champion. They're pairing Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, which is one of the best talents on that women's roster. I love Bianca. She's fantastic. You pairing her up with somebody like that. You're seeing Ethan Page really building up his heel figure in NXT. Lexis King is truly finding himself in NXT as well. He's currently the Heritage Cup champion. And it's just pretty crazy to see like how everything's coming together. So
and I mean, like a lot of these people are just done with AEW. I mean, hell, Britt Baker's another name. Like she was an dare I say she was an AEW original because she was there like at the beginning. Like she was somebody they built their women's division around her for a time. And now she's at this point where she literally comes back, has a match, and then you put her in this program with Serena Deeb, somebody she's already defeated multiple times, and she's literally saying down the camera, I don't care. Nobody cares about this. And it's just like, nobody does care about it. You're right. And I mean, it's just crazy to think that like say what you want about, Britt Baker and the Ringer and all that, whatever, but it's like, she's still a talented person. Like she's got a really good character to her.
She can talk.
She could talk and all that, and like she would thrive in NXT. A short stint in NXT, mind you, but like she would thrive in that kind of space. And then put her up into the main roster. I mean, Look, we already see how characters like Chelsea Green get over in WWE with a simple character. You know,
Yeah.
like it's things like that that like you
Yeah.
have these talents, you have these great people, but you don't do
Yeah.
anything with them. They're just wasted space there. They're just little toys for you to manipulate. Be like, oh, you want your alternative? You want your difference? Come over here. You'll have your difference for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it's like my whole stance on like the whole Britt Baker thing is like, yeah, like Watkins says, she's an original and everything. And yes, I know what people are going to say online when it comes to the common criticism of Britt Baker, when it comes to the locker room, her whole relationship, when it comes to certain people, you know, yada yada this, yada that. I understand that completely. We're completely aware about all the reports that are happening online. And I know some people out there are saying, oh, but if she goes over to WWE, and we're not advocating for her to come over to WWE. She just wants to drop out of wrestling after her contract's over and just focus on being a dentist. That's her life. That's her decision. She could do whatever the hell she wants. Just like a random ass thing that came out online about her relationship status. I'm not even sure why that's even being discussed. That's her own personal business. But it's like,
just don't. Like,
but it's
just don't.
But it's like, although I know some people are saying, oh, when she comes over to WWE, it's going to be the exact same thing. Well, the thing about WWE is they're more on ground when it comes to maintaining their locker room, making sure that everything is under control, making sure there isn't people going back and forth, because you don't watch this is not me throwing any shade towards AEW. This goes for anyone, even outside of the wrestling industry.
Yeah.
Like, you don't see like freaking Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire getting together. Something happens backstage behind the scenes. You get a report by Sony or Discussed Film, whatever the hell pops online, saying, oh, Andrew Garfield got in a fight with Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire because Tom got 3 movies and Toby got 3 movies. Andrew's pissed because he didn't get a 3rd film. Like, you're not going to see you're not going to see like anything like that within WWE, because they like keeping things under control. They have people that have a voice. They have people that put their foots down. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. You got people like Becky, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, a lot of those ladies there, Bayley holding the ground for the women's locker room. You probably have people that's been in the game for so long, like Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Sheamus, all those people in the background keeping things like maintained on that end. So it's like, I don't see Britt Baker coming over to WWE if she does make that decision where she's going to be like bumping heads with everybody. I don't see that happening at all whatsoever.
Same. And I will say about Britt Baker, as somebody who like a character, for one of the big reasons is that she was a doctor at the same time. For those that don't know, she was a dentist. And one of the coolest concepts is that girl had no hesitation to break your teeth because she would be the one to fix it. And that was the hilarious joke of it. Of her character, her skit, being that, like, you know, she's the MD, she's the doctor, she has the doctorate. And I even saw her post a tweet today, which was a sad one too, that don't read or believe everything that you see online. And that is something that, for those that don't know, we're not going to jump into, because this is not a gossip type of podcast or discussion. We're here talking about rumors, reports. But I will say one thing, that I felt bad to see her talking about her own marriage or her own relationship and telling people like, hey, don't read everything you read online, which is very true. People act like anything that you read on social media is facts, even if it's Twitter/X, even if Elon Musk is trying to do what he wants with that website. But I just feel bad when wrestlers cannot feel safe even off when they're not at their job, and this is one of the hugest things. So hopefully for Britt Baker, the best in her personal life and in her work life, wherever the next endeavors go next.
Yeah. So, but man, we just want better for the talent and all that. And everything. So,
and when it sucks to say, the last thing I would say about the AEW growth is, we are very sad as fans to see the decline of AEW, where it first started in 2019 to where it's now. That's why a lot of fans, audience, understand that if you're watching us talk about AEW longer for the next couple weeks, in our first show, launch show, understand that we're not talking about it out of hatred. We're talking about sadness as pro wrestling fans that we want the success of this company of AEW to succeed. We're not a tribalism here in this podcast, in this company, in this Weebs of the Ring channel. We're not tribalism. We care about all promotions, New Japan, AEW, even indie. We want them to succeed. And when the talent, like Walker's brought up, with the talent should get the protection and should get the successful if they have the skills for it and being used. And when they're not, it's fucking upsetting. Cause like shit, go fucking work somewhere else, but they can't.
Yep. But we could be here all night talking about that, but we got other things to talk about. So really quickly, before we move on into Dynamite itself, apparently Double or Nothing is possibly going to be moving away from Las Vegas, which kind of sucks because like the whole aesthetic of Double or Nothing is
a gambling.
like the whole gambling thing. Yeah, so hopefully they move somewhere where it's more like it's also it could be Atlanta, it could be Atlantic City, it could be they could maybe find a place near Charlestown, races and slots, or as I like to call it in college, racists and sluts. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, that's basically Double or Nothing moving and all that. I'm assuming this is because
I just love how just slid that in there. You're like, I'm gonna put that in there. Look. My one comment about this move for Double Nothing. I used to watch Double Nothing for years, and it used to be a great comedy of it for the craziness they have done in those events. But it just sucks that they have to move because their attendees are slacking. Let's just keep it a buck. If those that watch AEW sees the joke, there's no nosebleed seats. They're in a gymnasium. They're in places that are not selling out. They used to sell out. They used to be alternative, and it sucks that they're not. And for Double Nothing to not be where it used to be known for in Las Vegas, I agree with Walkers. Go to Atlantic City. Maybe go down to New Jersey. I may even go. I would love to attend a nice Double Nothing here. Just to make that expensive when nobody would like to go and you have a ticket that costs $300 in the top row when there's like, yo, really? Y'all want to make money? Make it affordable. Yeah, AWE.
It's better than $700 for WrestleMania nosebleed tickets.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll throw that out there. Like, god damn. That shit. But let's go ahead and just dive into Dynamite. So, ladies and gentlemen, when we go into like these shows for like Dynamite and NXT, we won't be doing like too big of deep dives. Now, if you want deep dives from them, just let us know in the comments. Be like, hey, why don't you guys talk about this a little deeper? And maybe we'll set something up later on down the road. But as of right now, we're gonna go through some of the highlights and some of the things we liked, maybe some things that we didn't like, whatever have you. I'm just gonna list things off from Dynamite that personally I found nice. Very good, or at the bottom it's going to be trash. We'll be honest. The last thing on this list was absolute garbage. But we're going to start off. So Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay started the night, and they confronted each other about like their past and all that. Will wants Kenny's help because like he's trying to he wants to take out the Death Riders and all that. Like he wants to be involved in that story. Which I'm sorry, Will. What? You want to be involved in the Death Rider story? Stay away from that. Stay away from that if you want to further your career. But he needs Kenny's help to get rid of Don Callis' family. I like how Kenny at least acknowledged, hey, last time me and you were in the ring, you were not only with Don Callis, you used a damn screwdriver on me, you used my own damn move against me, like you beat my ass. And basically to the point where it's just like, I don't think I could trust you enough. And basically, we got the Don Callis family coming out, doing a big old brawl, and Kenny gets his ass beat. Will doesn't go out there at first to help him, but then he does, and a big old brawl ensues. The brawl was actually a lot of fun. They actually like gave it some time and all that. Again, they had to fill time for people not being able to make it because of weather. And yeah, we get a tag team match set up between Ospreay and Omega against Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita at Grand Slam in Australia on February 15th. What time will that be? Well, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. It could be live. It could be later on that day. I don't know. They're not showing times at all, so good marketing there. So how we how familiar are you guys with like their story? I guess because like I know a lot of the complaint would be like, oh, Kenny and Will are just tagging together and all that, blah blah blah. Like, oh, where's all the reconciliation with all that? It's like, well, I get that criticism, I understand that, but not too long ago, we had Cody and Roman teaming together. We had them kind of being
What
like,
I
all right, one night only and all that. So like, there's at least a counter with that, and they at least acknowledge their past too here. So I guess my question to you guys is just like, how do you guys feel about this if you know more about it?
would it be funny that my favorite
Mhm.
moment was when both of them were on top of the rail and he screamed, "You guys could end the show. I cannot
Yeah.
climb," or like down or something like that,
Yep.
or he's afraid of heights.
Yeah, that was mega.
Like that was that was one of my favorite moments out of that segment because it was just more the comedy aspect and how it just turned into that. Do I know the story? No, guys. I've been slacking on AEW, even though I have it on my Max.
Mhm.
I just been slacking. It's just that I just been slowly trying to get myself to not saying forced to watch AEW, but it's like it's been slacking for so long over like the past year, 6 months, and it's just been inconsistent. Like sometimes some segments are great, some shows are great, but then some other segments are hella boring or hella bad or ever flat. So I
Yeah.
have heard of Will Ospreay. I've seen many things of him. I've seen his other promos when he first got in. But for Kenny Omega, I'm glad that he's back. I don't know too much, but the segment I've seen the clips online. From what I saw, it's interesting to have me invested to maybe tune in next week.
Mhm. All right, drop. Let's hear
So
it.
like the thing with this, it's like we're getting a match with Omega and Osprey against Fletcher and Takeshita at Grand Slam, and I know that event is taking place in Australia, so I wouldn't be
It most
surprised.
certainly
So I
is.
wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we get like a 2:30 in the morning, 2 in the
Mhm.
morning airtime on Max and TBS where they're gonna show this. Where I mean, for the most part, a lot of people are gonna be sleeping, so you better
Yeah.
DVR that stuff, or you better look at the VOD after it's over on Max so you can watch it there. But it's like, I mean, it's cool to see Omega and Osprey working together because regardless how you feel about it, it's gonna be a
Mhm.
great match because those are four talented performers that could really put on a show. But I can't just look at it like that where it's like it's gonna be a good match because that's pretty much the sort of reputation that AEW is building itself on. It's just we're here to make great matches every single week. Like, oh, you want to see um Omega against Swerve in the main event? Here you go. Is there a story for it? No, but here you
No.
go. So it's
Yeah.
like, and again, like Vash said, we're not trying to be like put any tribalism or anything because that's not what we represent here on the show. But it's really hard for us to get invested when there really isn't much story being put into this, like feeling
Mhm.
emotion, understanding everything along the lines of that. Like, yes, we know there's
Yeah.
history between Omega and Osprey, and this is being built, and this was also referenced in Omega's promo from Forbidden Door last year when he had that match with Osprey. So that's pretty much where everything is stemming from there. And it's just one of those situations similar to Cody and Roman where they had a common enemy. So that's the main reason why they're working with one another. Like you got Osprey with Fletcher, you got Takeshita with Omega. They have a common enemy with one another. So that's why they're having this alliance. And that's why they said,
Mhm.
after this is over and done with, we're going to move on and focus on other things. So we'll
Yeah.
see what comes out of that. Um, I can't really say much beyond that, but I just
Mhm.
feel like this is sort of a similar thing that we did see with Cody and Roman, where it's a common goal.
Yeah.
Let's work together to take these guys out, and then after that, things will stem off. Osprey can focus on what he needs to do next, and Omega can focus on what he needs to do next.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. It's like they can, because they both also have some unfinished business too with each other. So it's like, all right, let's get them out of the way. Let's just destroy this alliance that they have. So that way, like you said, we can just focus on our own things, maybe settle our own beefs, all that stuff. So Yeah, they started off the night really hot and really good. And then everything started kind of going downhill
Yeah.
after that. But like the next thing I found very good on the show was this Hangman Adam Page thing. Now, I'm not talking about the match because first of all, why and part of my French when I say this, because hey, you know what? I don't have this AEW title for just shits and gigs because I do like AEW. I do like a lot of it. Why in God's green earth? Why in the fuck do you have Hangman Adam Page in a damn squash match with a jobber? Why do you have your former world champion in a damn squash match? All to just do this thing for the Christopher Daniels retirement thing. Which, if you're gonna do that, fine. Why not do that with like a promo or something? Like, if you wanted to be out in the ring, fine, whatever. But like, do something else other than giving a freaking squash match to Hangman Adam Page, because like the thing with Christopher Daniels was actually kind of really good. Like, you don't often see like a wrestler who like loses a match come out being told, hey, the doctor said I can't wrestle anymore, but literally telling that to the person that they face. Like, literally, Christopher Daniels looked Hangman Adam Page in the eyes and was like, you were my last match. I hope you can live with that. Like, especially like how brutal it was. Like, I saw clips from it from Collision. Like, that match was brutal as hell. And to have a match that went like that, and then to be told by that person who used to be your best friend, "Hey, you were my last match. Hope you can live with that." Like that, because like you could actually kind of like that's one thing that I do want to commend Hangman Adam Page for, who like and that's why like these first two segments were like the first two things I want to bring up, because like these three guys especially, like Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and Will Ospreay, they are far beyond what AEW are right now. They are leagues above what AEW even deserve right now. Like, I will say that right here on this damn channel on this show. But like, it was just like this subtle way of like how Hangman kind of like got that information to his face and how he just kind of took it all in at that moment. Like, it's something I at least wanted to highlight from the show. But Drop, I know you. I know you watched the show as well. So what did you think of just that moment? I don't even give a shit about the freaking squash match. That shouldn't have even been a thing.
I want to tell a story about a pay-per-view that came out last year called All Out. And All Out was a pay-per-view where we had a chaotic match between Swerve and Hangman Adam Page. And this was around the time where Page was on another level. He ended off Dynamite, probably one of the hottest ways to close off the show, by burning down Swerve's house, to really set the mood of that feud, what it truly represents. And when they had that match, you had Page go over, and you thought things were going to go above and beyond. Danielson recently won the title at All In, so you were thinking in your head, okay, he's going to have that match at Wrestle Dream against Danielson. I mean, why not reward Hangman Adam Page for that great character work that he was doing in 2024? Why not have him be the final match for Danielson? And it would make sense if it were to go down that direction, because look at how much of a killer Hangman Adam Page was. Look at the sort of direction that you were really pushing his character. If he were the one to take him out here and there, that would have been very satisfying. And that was something a lot of people had in mind when it came to the direction of Hangman Adam Page. A lot of people looked at him as the next world champion in AEW, because it's been quite a bit since he's held that title. And what ended up happening, of course, that we'll talk about later, the Death Riders, just the whole thing beyond that, and we'll get into that shortly. But beyond that point, it just seems like Adam Page, and no disrespect towards him because he's great, but it just seems like he's just slowly falling down the card not being put into segments that really matter. And it just seems like what we saw last night. He was put in a squash match against a jobber. You had that little comment with Christopher Daniels and him. A lot of people are asking, like, where's Adam Page going? Like, and then you saw how he confronted MJF that one point later in the show. Where is that leading? Is it leading to a face turn, or is this just, oh hey, I'm here, and then we're just gonna focus on the stuff with Double J and MJF moving forward? Like, I'm just really wondering what the direction is for Adam Page moving forward, because I expected him to be at a completely different spot beyond what he did. And sure,
you're not the only one.
And sure, he got a crack at the title when he had that match with Moxley at like World's End, I believe. But it's like, beyond that, it's like, did it really matter?
Yeah. Like, and like that, again, I wanted to highlight this part because like it was good character work from Hangman. But again, it's like, what's the direction here? Like, is it going to be a face turn? Is it going to be a redemption arc? Because like we kind of see that here and there with some people. I mean, later on we had Swerve facing off against AR Fox, and they had like a little handshake at the end. Like, they had history. They were together for a time. And like then right there you're seeing like Swerve showing respect to the guy. It's like, okay, you know what? Fine, okay, all right, subtle character work, cool, neat, awesome. But it's like, you have these talents that are so good, but like it's gonna be a common theme where it's just like, okay, where are we going with this? Something, what are you doing? Stop it. It's like, where are they going with this? What are we doing here? Like, why are they in the spot that they're in? You know.
Those are acts, since we're also on the conversation of Dynamite.
Yeah.
How did everyone feel about the Hurt Syndicate winning the tag team titles, Bobby Lashley and Shelton? For me, I would rather have seen MVP and Shelton won the tag team titles, and Bobby have gone more for like a singles run, more of a world title or TNT title, something more major. But I'm okay with the Syndicate winning for now. Just curious to see where it goes. If it feels like, I didn't expect Bobby to go for a tag team title so soon. Like, if he went for a world title, then he lost it 3 months later, or some months later, weeks later, then go for the tag team titles with Shelton or MVP, and then go back for the world title again, like some type of switch. But going for the tag team title so soon, that threw me off. How do you guys feel about the Hurt Syndicate winning as well?
So it was honestly the right move, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because they weren't really doing anything with Private Party. So like, here's like the best way to really answer your question. The tag team scene in AEW has been at the bottom of the barrel for quite some time. It doesn't feel like it used to feel like it was supposed to be portrayed as all of those years ago. It's like not even focused on, like, even with the trios titles that you see the Death Riders walk out with, those don't really have many thought being put into them as well. So it's like, to answer this question properly, was it the right move to put them on the Hurt Syndicate? Yes. But when it comes to Private Party, I mean, you completely made them look like a joke, because you had this whole thing where you're pushing them. They won the belts from the Young Bucks. And then after that, everything...
It fell flat.
Yeah, everything felt flat. They only got two title defenses within their reign. And keep in mind, this happened at that little Halloween special that they had last year where they won it from the Bucks. So they only had 2 title defenses. They were walking around, doing backstage segments, having a party. Just basically, stuff like that. Just not even putting any thought within the tag team division. So it's like with like Bobby and Shelton winning it. I mean, with those 2 people in particular, it made sense because MVP is really just there to be their manager. He's not really an in-ring competitor, so really wouldn't make sense for MVP and Shelton to have those titles. And with Bobby being in this picture, I mean, realistically, it's the only picture that really makes sense. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised on the slightest if Daniel Garcia is the next target in line, and Sheldon has a match of him, and then they end up having Sheldon with the TNT title, because I don't expect to see Bobby with the TNT title, and I don't even expect Bobby to really be successful when it comes to everything that's going on with the Death Riders. I mean, that's almost at like, I'm Roman Reigns, you're not going to win this title off of me kind of shit. Not saying it's the exact same thing, but it's like, no one's taking those titles off those guys for a while until they actually figure out what they want to do with that story. So it's like it's like a win-lose situation. You win in a way because you got Bobby and Sheldon, where they could possibly give us something good with the tag titles, but you're also hurting a talent that you kind of buried. Be honest, you kind of buried Private Party. Like imagine, imagine WWE did this recently, where they have this whole thing going on with the Street Profits. They really want to get back at the tag titles, haven't won for 4 years. Imagine building this whole story and then having them win the tag titles, not defend them in months, and then you have like DIY just randomly come up to the scene again and just snatch them off just like that. Just like how they took their opportunity towards the Motor City Machine Guns. Like, just imagine something like that happening. It's like you invested all of our time into these people, and we were expecting them to go places, and then it turned out to be like this. It just really sucks to see everything fall apart like that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, and I mean, it just the tag team division is just a mess. It's a mess, you know. And I mean, because we kind of saw that too with Raw too, like with WWE side as well. Because we had freaking Judgment Day hold it for over 100 days, barely defending. You know, it's just like, what are we doing with our tag teams?
Yeah.
Like, why is SmackDown and NXT like the biggest tag team like shows that we have right now? It should be all around, you know. But yeah, that's neither here nor there.
What else was entertaining for you when it comes to AEW and the tag team? Because I know you've seen it, you know, the more of this episode.
I mean, having it on the Hurt Syndicate right now, it's just like what Drop said. Like, it's a win-lose situation, because like you win because, hey, here's a new team, here's like a good shot of adrenaline into the tag team division, but like, what teams do you have? You know, we're about to get like this, I guess, this new team with like Brody King and Buddy Matthews or Buddy Murphy or whatever he's going by right now. I keep getting names confused. I'm sorry, people. It's been a long day. But like, who else do you have then beyond that? Because like, you broke up the Acclaimed recently, so they're not a team anymore. You know, Penta and Rey Fenix aren't together. You know, oh, we could throw the Young Bucks in there. They just had the titles, you know, like, and they're doing shit in Japan right now. You just squashed Private Party, who you barely used even before they won the titles. So it's like, who do you even have unless you just throw people together? Like, oh, let's just continue Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay doing shit. It's just like,
well,
why would
we just gotta wait and see?
What? Yeah. That whole thing. I had mentioned the Swerve AR Fox match. It was a fine match, but mainly just here to get them on the show so Ricochet can come out with his little scissors and threaten Prince Nana, which Ricochet. Work on your promos, buddy. You know I struggle to talk sometimes, but work on your promos a little bit, because you kind of come off as a little dweeb right now.
I'm gonna just say this since it relates to Ricochet. Congrats to his wife. She's coming out with her first song next week. Her first single song on Spotify. So congrats to her.
I hope it's a banger. All right, Death Rider stuff. Pac went up against Adam Copeland. I refuse to call you Cope. That is a stupid name. I don't care how much you say it's sexy or whatever. No. Bad Adam Copeland. But the match was fine. But, I mean, that's just the whole AEW's idea of, oh, here's a bunch of jangling keys in front of your face. Isn't that cool? Isn't that pretty? Don't pay attention to the quote unquote story we're telling. Look at these keys. Aren't they pretty? Aren't they neat? Don't you love how the keys lurk? Don't you love how this match is? How great this match is? Don't pay attention to the Death Riders beating up Rock and Roll Express. Who gives a fuck about the Rock and Roll Express in 2025? Like, what the hell? Like, and oh, let's just end Dynamite how we always do with freaking Death Riders on top after a beatdown. It's like it's the same issue I was having personally with the whole Judgment Day when they turned on Rhea and um Damian Priest. We're just like, oh, we're gonna end every segment with us beating them down because
Yeah.
here comes Rhea Ripley. Like, it's just what are we doing? There's
Almost
no
even the
direction
bloodline
for it.
shit for a while too. It's like you
Yeah,
always had
got
Solo
stale.
and someone always ending off the show with like a beatdown. And
yeah, like do something more. Like, and like, what is this end goal of it? And I mean, don't even make me bring up. I will no. You know what? No, I will always bring up the stupid, dumbass match that we got on Collision with them teaming with Chris Jericho and his.
Oh yeah,
dummies,
are
his
you talking about the
dorks.
5 versus 5?
Oh my gosh! Like they should. Death Rider should not have even agreed to that. They should have just beat everybody down in that ring. But no, we're gonna continue on with the tag match. And fucking, the match is good, isn't it? Look at the jangling keys. God damn! Like,
I don't know about you, but I want us to move on to the next one of and Jeff Hardy shit. The conversation that they had with MJF, because MJF, he doesn't look like he's there, like he's there present, like he's there at work in the ring,
mhm.
but he doesn't look happy. That's all I'm gonna say about the segment. MJF looked like he was funny in it.
Well, like, yeah, because I mean,
yeah,
he cuts a promo, like, and I'm sorry, his promo was so just uninspiring. I couldn't really pay attention to it at all. Like, what are we doing? What are we
It fell
doing?
flat.
And then
It fell
yeah,
flat trying to approach to the audience about something where I don't feel like he couldn't be his own hype man. He was trying to be hype about something,
yeah.
but there was no passion through the mic, even through what he was trying to send it to us, the audience, to understand his promo work. And it felt like flat. I'm like, this is not hitting my G. You are either you didn't get ready or prepare enough for the script, or you're not there yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, with the whole Jeff Jarrett stuff, I mean, there was a report earlier that was just like, oh, there are no plans for Jeff Jarrett to win the world title. It's like, okay, why are we telling the story then?
that's
Why
what I'm-
is
see,
this the story?
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like pointless to even play it out on television now if
Yeah.
that's the case.
It
Like,
just sucks that the way we're telling the stories of said characters is like they are on Wednesday at 8 p.m. live for Dynamite. But I feel like they don't even know what they're doing until 7 p.m. And that's
yeah.
not good. You should know what you're doing since 2 p.m. Already preparing yourself to be ready by 6, 7, and then boom, ready, launch, and be live. Have your story, have your characters, have them be on the scenes, everything planned out. If things changes, that's fine.
Oh,
But have everything planned out. And when you don't have things planned out and then you have reports like this, it makes the audience not even want to care for it. And that's very
well, no,
disappointing.
that's not even just planning out a show because, like, I'll give them the benefit. This is the one time I'll give them the benefit of a doubt for like having to change shit last minute because they did have to change a few things last minute yesterday because of traveling and all that. But this isn't even a case of like, oh, we're changing things last minute. This is the fact that they're telling a story about a guy who's going to be retiring in the next year. They're doing a story about him winning a world title. But now you're coming out with reports saying that you don't even plan on him having that world title, like not even winning that world title. It's literally like if they said, "Oh, hey Cody, welcome back to WWE. We're going to have this whole thing about you finishing your story. You're never going to finish it though."
Yeah,
Like it's almost like that. Like I
it's-
know it's not on like the same level as that, but
Yeah.
it's very similar. Like it's like
Yeah.
why are you even like why are you throwing that carrot in front of our faces then? You
Yeah.
know?
I agree.
Yeah. And I like too how, in typical AEW fashion, we had We had Vash skipping over the ladies because Jamie Hayter defeated Julia Hart in a, it was a good match. I thought it was better than their first match, and there was a moment too after the match where Jamie Hayter was just like, "Hey, we both have a win each over each other. Whenever you want the rematch, whenever you want the rubber match, go ahead on you." And it's like, okay, cool. We're doing a sportsman-like thing.
Yeah.
Neat. Maybe push Jamie Hayter more. She's in the same boat as like the Ricky Starks and all that.
Yeah.
Push her more.
When it comes to the woman stuff, the only conversation I'm interested is the 20 Storm, and that's the most I'm interested about this past Dynamite stuff.
Yeah. So to get my thoughts on the whole Jamie Hayter thing, her and Julia Hart actually had a good match. Wasn't bad at all. I mean, it's Jamie Hayter at the end of the day. Don't expect any bad things from her. Julia Hart, it's nice that she's honing her craft. It's nice to see her, actually put herself in the spotlight, outside of the House of Black, which we're going to touch on that right after this. But one of the things I did like, and this was actually the first time it's happened, they actually allowed Jamie Hayter to cut a promo for like the very first time.
Right?
Ever since she became a part of the company. Like, this was the first time she was able to be in the ring, cut that promo on Julia Hart, and obviously bring up the whole rubber match between the both of them. And I'm going to say this about Jamie Hayter. She needs to be not here. She needs to be in those high-level programs. Like, I expected her to have a match with Mariah May already. I even expected her to have a match at Mercedes already, but she's completely away from Mariah. She's completely away from Mercedes. She's like on all of these different side quests or whatever. We have her come back during the pre-show for All In, which doesn't make any sense because that's like let's say if WWE still did pre-shows. That's like Rhea Ripley coming back during a Royal Rumble pre-show to confront Liv Morgan if she had some sort of match there. That's like, oh my God, Rhea Ripley's back, but it wasn't on like any of the main, the main matches we had on the card. It was on the pre-show, so it's kind of like, oh, so I'm seeing Rhea Ripley's debut on YouTube. So it's kind of like just looking at it right there. It's kind of like it shows how much you really factor in that performer by doing stuff like that. And a lot of people were saying, well, she's back. Who cares? Everything's fine. Other content creators, and if he's watching this, he's said it before, but even other people in general have said this. Debuting a big talent on there, oh, it's going to be fine, everything's good. No, look at where she is now. You could only hope after this rubber match, because it's more than likely going to happen. Maybe it happens at the Grand Slam show. Who knows? Maybe it happens next week. Who knows? 2 weeks after that. Who knows? They're promoting a lot of stuff in Atlanta. Maybe she has it there. Maybe that propels her to a TBS title match, or maybe if Mariah and Tony are done, which I don't expect because that's pretty much the story there. But let's say if it was, maybe she gets factored in there. Other than that, I mean, I just want Jamie Hayter to be factored in a lot more, because I personally feel like she needs to be a little bit higher on the card, but that could just be a me thing. But the interesting thing that we did see afterwards, which pretty much gives us our confirmation that Malachi is done with AEW, is that they're repackaging the House of Black, where it's Buddy, it's Brody King, and it's Julia Hart, and I believe they go by a different name. I think it was like
it's like Hounds of. It's not Hounds of Darkness or anything. I know they actually trademarked Cerberus for like entertainment use for like wrestling and all that. So like, I don't know if that's gonna be the dog that was in the promo.
Yeah. Could have been like Hounds of Hell, name. Hounds of Cerberus, whatever along the lines of that. But and we also saw like within these past couple of weeks that you had Will cut that promo on Buddy when they had that match. I know something similar happened on a Collision taping. I don't know if it was a Brody or whatever. And I honestly feel like what Jamie Hayter said last night that was probably something for Julia Hart too, even though she's already out on her own. But that could have been another indication pushing this new package, repackaging of the group. But yeah, that's pretty much your confirmation that Malachi's done with AEW. I don't really think you need to really speculate. I mean, he's not even there. He wasn't in the vignette or anything. He's coming back to WWE.
Yeah, and there have been many mentions of like, oh, you guys don't need your leader, blah blah blah, all that stuff.
And also that Adam Cole match that he had where he put over Malachi. I mean, that was the last time we saw him. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's nothing, but we haven't seen him since then.
Exactly, So, and then like these last 3 points, I mean, they're really not much of anything because like, I mean, your women's champion has been relegated to Collision because of a certain Mercedes money. Basically hyping up this homecoming show, and her and Tony are gonna have a face-to-face. Cool, neat, awesome. Maybe something can come from there, but I mean, all of 2 people are gonna be watching Collision, so that'll be neat. Mercedes money. No, you'll be at House of Glory. You'll be at something better.
Hey, exactly.
Let's be honest. And plus Saturday night's main event is up there too. Mercedes Money is backstage cutting a cringy promo or whatever, and then out comes Harley Cameron, who we saw earlier in the night, who was she got some like confidence from Tony Storm to like get a match for Grand Slam and all that. And cool, neat. Song's a little cringe, but I think that's because I couldn't really understand Harley Cameron. But of course, we get a big old gnar from Mercedes Money, and she walks away with all 4 belts. Neat, awesome. I guess we're getting that match for Grand Slam what time that is. And of course, Big Bill versus Powerhouse Hobbs happening soon. Cool, neat. Get the fuck off my screen, Jericho. Nobody wants you here. Please retire. That's Dynamite. That was Dynamite this week. That was your Dynamite. Dynamite dog down. I can put this title away for a bit now.
Great. Can we
change?
I can't wait. Can I bring up the first news of the next thing we're going to talk about? Drop. You could go ahead and say what you want to say last.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I just didn't know if we were following the similar structure we had planned. That's why.
Yes, because for the next news is the WWE, and before we jump into NXT highlights, we have some main stuff to talk about for news. And one of the things I want to bring up first, because this is interesting conversation. For those that have been living under a rock, Corey Graves returned some following signs of frustration with his standing in the company. And this is some of the stuff that has been said, for those that don't know. After disappearing for 1 week, Corey Graves was back on NXT on Tuesday night, joining Vic Joseph and Booker T at the announce table for the show from the WWE Performance Center. Graves' recent issues with WWE were hinted at during an opening moments of NXT. Vic Joseph told fans watching at home not to adjust their TV sets. And he said, I'm right where I want to be, where passion is everything. Only the hungry survive, and pro wrestling never stops being cool. Let's light the fuse. Corey Graves initially made his return to NXT on New Year's Eve on January 7th, having been moved from Friday Night SmackDown. Corey Graves has reported originally under the impression that he would have been on SmackDown in the new year alongside Joe Testero, but plans change. One of the things that he tweeted before that on January 13th was, imagine your dreams then being told, not deciding, that you're no longer physically able to pursue your dream. Then you are dedicated to your life to something dream adjacent and being pretty fucking awesome at it. And then when it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, being told you're not famous enough on your own job, just in case you have wondered where I've been. So how do you guys feel about these rumblings of Corey Graves being shuffled around from SmackDown to NXT, and then not being outworked last week, but being outworked this week? How do you guys feel about that? I want to ask Drop, since you have been an NXT fan for the longest and seeing the switch out of our announcers and everything. How do you guys feel about this?
So it's like, I understand where the frustration comes because he's been on the main roster for quite some time. And he's even spoken before that, that's something he's always wanted to do. He wanted to be on there for everybody else, calling out the matches, doing the commentating like he's done for years now. It's not like Corey Graves just entered the company. He's been here for long time. So you can only imagine how somebody would feel if they went down to NXT. Because, believe it or not, it kind of does feel like a demotion. It kind of feels like you're just bringing him back down there for what? I mean, Booker T and forgot the other guy, that's the Vic Joseph.
Vic
Um,
Joseph, yeah.
yeah, it's like, but Big Booker T and Vic Joseph seem to be doing fine down there. It almost makes you think
Yeah.
like, oh, why is Corey being put down there? I mean, I feel like it could possibly have to be with Pat McAfee, maybe because they have Pat McAfee and Michael Cole there, and I would assume once Pat goes away for whatever sports thing comes up, maybe they might try to bring Corey up there again to really factor into things. It could
Yeah.
just be because of where they're placing certain people or whatever, because for the longest time it's always been at least two people on Raw and at least at the very minimum like 3 people on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So it's like I can understand his frustration and everything, but it's just good to see him. It's good to see him on television rather than not seeing him on television. So those are my 2 cents on that. It's just good that he has some sort of presentation, so it's not like he's gone for TV for months. At least we see him on television.
If I may add a quick rebuttal towards that, it feels like when it comes to Corey Graves, imagine you go from the C team, you work your way hard to become the A team, but then a better type of player comes in and takes your spot, but then you only put on the bench team to work on the C team, where it's NXT. But then when that player disappears, it goes back to ESPN coverage or Monday Night Football like it does, you get put back from the C team of NXT back to the A team whenever you need to get replaced or replace somebody else. Like that sounds good and all, but as somebody who could work their ass off, put years, months work in to get where you are, even if the audience or fans sometimes are hit or miss with you about commentary, but the people, the employees, people love you, and it has a hit and miss like that sucks internally as an employee or as a hard worker. I cannot imagine how that feels as somebody as Vic Joseph could be busting his ass for and get nothing in return of what he could be feeling.
So actually a rebuttal for all of that, because I think it's actually an opposite thing where Corey, he's really good at his job, and we've seen him on commentary pull out many stops or many different roles on commentary.
Mhm.
He's done the play-by-play thing. He's done the heel commentary. He's done the color commentary. Like, he's so good at his job. He's almost too good. And he's very versatile at his job. And he's somebody that you want in your company because he's somebody that you can put in any spot and he will thrive in.
Agreed.
And I think that's something that he kind of has to come to terms with, because that's why they've been moving. Like, if they have to move somebody, they're always going to be moving Corey Graves because they know that no matter where they put him, he's going to do well. Hell, even with WWE Speed, he does commentary on his own. So already he's showing that he has the skills to do it on his own.
And
So
if I'm
it's more-
correct, he did
Mhm.
the commentary for the WWE games, if I'm correct. When I heard you,
Well, they all do. They all do.
They all do. Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
but that's just the thing. It's just like he's such a versatile employee to have on your, on your payroll and all that. That like you end up like either really excelling or like having to be told, "Hey, we need you over here for a few months," and it's like kind of a lower paying gig or like a lower on the card gig, but like in a few months you'll be back up there. It's all fine. It's all good, and that's what kind of sucks with like somebody like Corey Graves and all that. But like I think he's kind of come to terms with that, and that's why he's back. And yeah, I mean, I didn't really expect him to be like leaving or anything. There were some reports coming out saying like, oh, he was trying to get fired, which I mean, if you're trying to get fired, dude, just go find Jack Perry. I know he's on a different brand or a different company, but just go find Jack Perry and punch him in the face. That'll
Yeah,
get you
just go.
fired easily.
Yeah, just go
Like-
find CM Punk. Just tell him, hey, that's not advice of how to get fired. You have the most experience of all of this.
But that's
Understandable.
my 2 cents.
I see your vision.
my 2
Totally
cents.
understandable.
Yeah.
We're good to move on.
All right.
Yes.
So the next one's actually super exciting because we had a report on Ilja Dragunov. Said Ilja Dragunov's return is imminent as he is seen at the Performance Center training fully for a return. This was reported by Corey from Fightful. And that's honestly, like, I'm going to be honest, I'm not really surprised. Only because we've seen how this guy works out every single time. Like when he posts it on Twitter, when he posts it on Instagram, he's always doing these most craziest workouts. Like this is the kind of stuff that you would see in cartoons of like somebody using a sofa to like pretty much train themselves and stuff. That's kind of like some Johnny Bravo shit. So it's like, with Ilja like coming back, it's coming back already at the Performance Center training. I spoke to Vash earlier. It was even said that he didn't have any protective.
Yep, he did.
He didn't have any protective equipment on him when it comes to his injuries or whatever. So I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but if it does happen, that'd be pretty crazy if he pulls an 08 John Cena and he appears at the Rumble. Because that sounds like OG.
Please,
that sounds like an 08 John Cena. And I
I
still
would really
remember
hope
it
so.
too. You got number 30. I'm not saying he's gonna be number 30, but it's like actually, I don't really matter what number he is. Yeah,
Make him number 30. Do it.
If they do,
it,
Triple will be like, "Oh, I heard the online. Hey, you're number 30 now."
I mean, honestly, if they really want to play into the whole 08 John Cena, and this is the whole John Cena retirement tour, you want to have all of these Easter eggs and shit. I mean, that's the perfect one. You have him come out, you hear his song, comes out at number 30. I even saw a picture somebody posted.
Oh my god!
It was a picture.
Chad,
somebody
quick
posted.
reminder. Me and Watkins are doing a sidecast for that on Royal Rumble, so I just got excited. Just imagine just hearing that number 30 and just hear the beat. Da, 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 da. Oh my god, that'd be exciting as hell. We have not heard his song in like since August. Oh my god,
that's pretty crazy. Like, but it's also not surprising.
Yeah, time flies by fast.
I
just can't wait to see where he goes. And we have said the joke about it. Exactly. He has sense of being. This man has been working hard. I believe we joke around it back in November or October. I think I told the guys, like, imagine if he comes back to Royal Rumble and he did like a hyperbolic time chamber, like Goku has trained, or even Vegeta has trained in the little gravity, where he just does the whole training with the robots and everything, and shows the amount of work he does, the one-arm push-ups. If anybody hasn't seen Ilja Dragunov, his Twitter or his IG of his workouts is fucking unbelievable. He also be putting fucking anime manga references of quotes of characters. He loves it. He loves the energetic of the gym athlete stuff, the anime stuff. It shows that he does like one-arm push-ups. He does one-arm dumbbells. He shows how he does it. He does training aspects. So I'm all for it. I'm excited for this train. Ilja Dragunov return for the Royal Rumble. Would love to see it.
Oh yeah. And then we also have another report about WrestleMania 42 rumored to be in New Orleans. And it says right here, according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider, the word in Louisiana and within WD is that New Orleans is a current frontrunner to host WrestleMania 42. The show would take place in 2026, and it would be at the Superdome. And it's been at the Superdome in New Orleans twice before, at WrestleMania 30 and 2014, at WrestleMania 34 and 2018. 2014 event, if you guys remember, we saw Bryan Danielson win the World Heavyweight title, and WrestleMania 34 was main evented by the infamous Universal title match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And WrestleVotes has claimed that WWE in the city of New Orleans has held talks about holding a press event in the near future that would include a significant announcement. So,
which is what they did for Las Vegas this year.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah,
we got it with last year. We got it with this year. More than likely, it's going to be an ongoing thing. I mean, it makes sense. Biggest show of the year.
Yeah, I believe the press conference happened last year after the Royal Rumble, after what happened with the Rock. So I think the next press conference, if it involves WrestleMania, they might again use the same type of title, Road to WrestleMania press conference, and they will have it sometime in the middle of February, probably like February 14th or something.
I believe it's actually going to be February 8th.
Oh, okay. a week after Royal Rumble this time. So it's a week.
Oh yeah,
a week after.
That's like Super Bowl week too. So
yeah, and I do recall. I actually do recall hearing them say they wanted to do it because of that.
Yeah,
and then I also
it makes sense. Great timing.
And then I have these open on my end. So we had
Mhm.
some news on
Oh,
Nikki
yeah.
Bella and Alexa Bliss. So I'll go over the Nikki Bella news because the Alexa Bliss is quite stuff to digest. We're going over the original report. We'll reference it once I get there.
Mhm.
But this was reported by WrestleVotes. And WrestleVotes, if you guys don't know, they're a very reliable source. They put out a lot of stuff out there. Just be careful when you go online sometimes, just in case you don't want to get spoiled on certain things,
Yeah.
because I do recall there being a report about the US title being announced for the ladies that I saw a couple hours prior that they already reported on. So anyways, there was
Yeah.
a report saying we're told significant discussions have taken place regarding a Nikki Bella return to action, with the strong expectation from multiple WWE sources that it will happen sooner rather than later. I'm probably would be the Royal Rumble where she makes her return. Maybe it's a
Mhm.
one-off. Maybe she has a few matches here or there. I mean, it's her decision at the end of the day what she wants to do. And I do know that when she was shown on the Raw premiere, that moment with her did have a lot of attraction when it comes to their social media polls, and WWE has been really been pushing towards there. That's why you see all these rumors
Mhm.
around CM Punk and Roman Reigns, because there was a lot of social media eyes on their moments together, just like the Nikki Bella one recently. But how you
Yeah.
guys feel about like Nikki Bella returning? Like, are you okay with her coming at the Royal Rumble, or what do you
Um,
really feel about this as a whole?
I feel I'm kind of mixed on this because on one hand, if she's doing like limited appearances, fine, whatever,
Yeah,
one off here and there. If it's full time, I don't know if I'd really want to see that because I don't. She's gonna have to put in a lot of work to kind of keep up with this women's roster.
it's
Like
a lot different.
even the short little stint that she did like a couple years ago. I mean, she was barely keeping up then.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't see her really keeping up. I know Chelsea Green has been one to kind of like call out the divas and all that and want to
Yes,
defend her
yes.
title in like a diva open challenge or whatever, which, fine, whatever, if you're going to do that, cool, neat. But anything beyond that, no, no thank you. I'm good. I'm Gucci.
To my answers to Nikki Bella, I was crazy at the timing of John Cena retirement that they want to bring back, Nikki Bella, the crazy ironic timing in that aspect. And I'm a fan of Nikki Bella. I like the Bella twins, the stories, the song, the it, the AUNDU for those that understand. And do I want to see Nikki Bella come back? With all due respect, Nikki, you probably are a great soul, good, kind person, and everything else. But
brother.
at the moment, I'm not interested to see you back in the ring.
Mhm.
Right now, I'd rather see the current superstars. If you get back in the ring and things changes, my perspective could change, and what you could bring to the ring, maybe become a manager role, maybe for other women, probably something like that. Probably give them advice. Maybe be a better manager than Sonya Deville or PFC. Those could be other options. But Nikki, right now with you in the ring, I'm sorry, I have no interest. If you do avoid Rumble appearance, congrats to you. Hope to see you succeed in that. But in the future, right now, I don't see anything happening that's right now interesting in my alley. My apologies.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just see what comes out of it. I mean, at the end of the day, if the
Yeah.
only thing I can really say that it's good that she is on good terms with WWE, because I do know a couple years ago things were on and off between the both of them. I recall there's something happened around on the Hall of Fame, or something
Mhm.
happened along the lines of that where they had like little on and off season there. But I mean, I'm not really here to say what she can do. It's her life, her decision. She's making the money, so whatever she does
Yeah.
is fine. If it was up to me, I mean, hey, having a Royal Rumble appearance, having a little one off would be cool, because that's something I actually expected after reading this report, which more than likely I feel like that is a possibility. So we'll see where
Mhm.
that goes. But
Yeah.
the other thing I really want to get into is the whole Alexa Bliss thing. We'll shed a few comments
Oh
on
yeah.
here before we get into our NXT highlights, which is going to be super quick because I'll mainly focus on that. I'm not going to really give too much on that because really isn't anything too much to talk about. But
Yeah.
so this was reported by PWN, which is a Discord server I'm a part of. Great community. I would probably have to say it's probably the only wrestling community when it comes to a Discord server that I feel comfortable being in when it comes to voicing my opinion on my favorite wrestlers and everything like that, and just a very friendly community over there. So shout out to them. But this was a report by Cody Rhodes from PAWN Scoops, which this has been a thing around January 10th, but Alexa Bliss was a hot topic tonight, so I thought we might as well talk about it. So on January 10th, Alexa Bliss created plans of return was placed on hold. Stay tuned, more to come. And then there it says, all right, don't know if this will ease minds or not. Return for Bliss on hold while new contract is discussed. So if she returns, likely means she signed a new deal. Unknown if her contract is up already, coming up soon, or a decent ways off, as I don't know if it had injury time added for the pregnancy and when her contract would have expired, if not for potential injury time added. So basically, until a new deal is signed, I wouldn't anticipate seeing her. So this was, like I said, a topic of discussion throughout today. And a lot of people voice their opinions when it comes to exactly, okay, what does this report means? I'll share my thoughts. I don't know. I was about to say share my report, but I'll share my thoughts on this. Pretty much, I would assume in order for things to really kick into gear for a new deal, just like everybody else that's currently on a deal, I would assume you got to get that deal out of the way first before you move on into a new one. Because it's not like she's being kept off of TV for no reason. She obviously gave birth. She was spending time with family, which is definitely understandable because Dragon recently have a kid. He's trying to spend time with his wife. Completely understandable situation. And I would assume after that, she's trying to get her body back into shape, training. I've seen pictures of her. She's been looking great, looking a lot bigger, getting a lot stronger, etc. So on. So I would expect it just to, figure out what's going on with this current deal before you sign a new one, unless it's an extension of some kind, because I know LA Knight did it recently, and I know Cody Rhodes did it recently in the fall of last year, so I don't know if it's one of those things, but what do you guys think about this?
Go ahead, Walkers.
Yeah, because like we were talking about this too a little bit before we went on air. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. It's just like, you got to finish off what you started with your old contract if there's still stuff on there, because that's the thing. She's been gone for about 2 years now. Going on. So it's like, okay, yeah, you had your kid, you're getting back into shape, you're getting back into the fold of everything, but there's still stuff on your old contract. We got to finish that off. There's the whole, like, we know that there's injury time added. I don't know if they count pregnancy in that. I would assume so, just because you are kind of out and you do have to recover from the pregnancy and all that. But again, that's just me assuming. But yeah, I mean, I think I would side more with the company on this aspect, because it's like, yeah, finish what you started, and then we'll negotiate as time moves on, because I don't know how much time was left in that contract either. Because like, if it was a lot of time, then yeah, you kind of got to make up some of that time. But like, if it was only like a month or two, I mean, they could probably work something out. I don't know, but again, we also don't know like the ins and outs of their contracts too. So like, we don't know what she really was missing out from it. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents with it.
Yeah.
And my 1 cent is this: look, if you have what's left of a contract, 6 months, a year left, if they added, just fulfill it. I understand that, Alexa Bliss, you want more money, more stock to your value, but right now, with all the respect, your stock hasn't grown. You haven't come back to TV. Yes, you have your own fans. You have your own loyal fan base. You have done a bit of... Exactly. Yep. Drop has been one of them. Walker's a bit as well. I am aware of your character of the Funhouse with Bray Wyatt. I'm aware of these things. I have not seen it, but I'm aware of it. So for the fans that don't know you coming back, how can you be hyped for this woman that hasn't even appeared? When I told Walker, like, yeah, girl has been gone for like 3-4 years. No, Walker's correcting me. It's been 2 years. So girl has been gone since 2023. So for that time, has her contract move up more, get longer? We don't know. but I understand where both parties are coming from. The company WWE wants her to finish the current contract and then see how's her stock value, how's her engagement value, her merch value. Has she gotten anything increased? Maybe she comes back. Maybe if you do one episode or two shows, then talk about contract. First, you got me halfway, but if you don't even, if you butt heads, you might even have the opportunity to come back for Royal Rumble. So how does that help?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so as of now, I mean, maybe she'll be at the Rumble. We don't know. We'll just have to wait and see how things unfold. We still have another week till Rumble. So
Exactly.
when it comes to the NXT highlights, like I said, this is going to be pretty quick because there's not much to really digest here. So I'm just going to give my 2 cents on here. So more than likely, this might be at least a minute or two long. So the North American title scene, we got Tony D'Angelo and Rich Holland. I'm just really curious to see like what's going on with the North American title because that was a big moment for Tony D'Angelo, but ever since that whole entire thing transpired of Obafemi, things haven't really headed.
Stagnant.
Yeah, things haven't really headed in the direction I expected. And one of the weakest parts about NXT right now is its men division because when they had the draft last year, they got Mello, they got Breaker, they got Ilja Dragunov, so it was definitely a toll on them. So I'm hoping there's some sort of plan for Tony D'Angelo moving forward. We'll see where that goes.
Same. I love him as the man or
the Don.
Don, thank you, Drop. I was like, wait a minute, I said that totally wrong. The Don, his character is really amazing, and I give a big thank you to Drop. He has gotten me into NXT, and I love Tony D'Angelo. So hopefully his NXT run gets better. I'm on that.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the title itself, he's a great talent. I'm sure he's going to do wonders in the main roster. I mean, people will eat up that Mafia shit. Trust me, people will love it. So I'm not worried about him in the slightest. But probably the highlight for me of the show was Bayley and Julia when they had the segment with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez because you're looking at two girls that are the future of that division, which is Julia and Roxanne Perez because
Not
it's
Cora Jade.
Okay, I'll say this like Cora Jade, just dive into that so you guys can understand. I have nothing against Cora Jade at all in the slightest. I think she has a lot of potential. I just want her booking to be better because whenever I give my criticism on anybody, it's basically the booking. The booking is what makes these wrestlers.
How you presented.
The booking is what makes us get invested in them. And ever since they had Cora return, they've been putting her in matches. She's lost. She hasn't really stood out. That's why I want to see what she could do. I want to see her separate from Roxanne, see how she really stands out. That's what I want for Cora. So I don't have anything against Cora. It's just when it comes to the overall presentation, she's probably the one I don't really invest as much time into because Sean, whoever else is behind creative, isn't really giving me a reason to.
One thing I could add about Cora Jade is
charismatic.
What I see that they're trying to fail, what they're trying to do and failing at is what they did with Carmelo and Trick. Trick was the assistant or the right wingman of Carmelo, and Cora Jade kind of like the right wingman of Roxanne, but it's falling flat for Cora Jade's character when there's no good booking for her or the other stars around her, as Stephanie Valker and the other characters that is going for the North American title of the woman division, where Cora Jade is falling flat for it, and when her in skill in the ring is not as a par with the other ladies when all she gets is looks, and that's the most disappointing factor when she's getting pushed for the hype around her when there's not the skill sets behind her.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I'm hoping it changes in the future. But basically, just to shine on here, because this is probably the one segment I do want to at least take a minute to talk about before glossing over everything else. But this is a really big moment because you have Bayley, which is a veteran. A lot of us grew up with Bayley when it came to us watching the product all those years ago. I remember her days in NXT Black and Gold. I remember probably one of the greatest women's matches of all time between Sasha Banks and Bailey when it came to that match that they had to take over Brooklyn. That's pretty much what put women's wrestling on the map. That's pretty much the match that brought us everything that we see today. And you gotta owe a lot to them for putting the division where it is. And then you had Charlotte and Becky carry it after that. But Bailey being here with Julia, that's nice. You get Julia with a veteran, you get Cora with a veteran, and you get Roxanne with a veteran. So that's really nice. And next week they do have a tag team match set up where it's Bailey and Julia taking on Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. So I am very glad that they're doing that tag match next week, because I'm glad it's not a one-on-one between Bailey and Roxanne, because if it was up to me, I'd save that match for WrestleMania, give Roxanne her moment.
Yeah.
Actually, you can actually build a story here. It actually makes a lot of sense. You used to be my role model. Now you're not anymore. Now you're just a loser. There's a lot of stuff to really work with that. So I'm hoping they save that as a bigger opportunity for Bailey and Roxanne at WrestleMania. Because if it was up to me, I'd do Lyra, Becky, Charlotte, Tiffany, and Bailey and Roxanne. That's pretty much a moment where we got the new versus old. So I'm all for that. And so I was really glad about that segment. Wesley versus Dion. They had a little altercation in the back. That's pretty much how things transpired there. Trick wasn't in the best mood tonight. Didn't really say much. He ended up getting into a little thing with Wesley in the back, and then he ended up getting into a thing with Dion.
Make him all good.
He bumped shoulders to Dion. Not really sure what that's leading to, but I'm hoping we get some sort of direction with Trick where he's headed next. I would assume main roster, because it doesn't seem he has any sort of plans, but they did tease him and Trick towards the end of that episode of NXT. I mean, him and Oba towards the end of NXT, so I'm not really sure where we're going with that. I don't know if that's going to be a Vengeance Day match and then Trick's over and done with there. I don't really know, but I mean, Oba's holding that title for a long time. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they have him break that record for being the longest reigning champion for NXT, because it's honestly hard for me to really see him drop the title. Heritage Cup between Lexis King, Charlie Dempsey. It did what it needed to do for the show. So Lexis King, honing his craft just like a lot Ethan Page is doing it in NXT. Carmen and Jada, they had a little thing in the back. Jada was talking a lot of shit like she normally does. Carmen got in her face, and Carmen actually ended up getting the surprise win here.
I just want to say that Jada Parker did not lose her hype. For those online that saying shit, shut the hell up. They were still a good pop in the NXT house. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. And then we got Vance and Jensen versus Stax and Luca. I'm not really sure how to pronounce your name. I apologize.
Yeah, I think it's Luca. Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it was. Not really much to say there.
Yep.
And then we had Oba Femi versus Eddie Thorpe. I mean, Oba was going to squash Eddie with no issues at all whatsoever. Just hoping that there's hopefully we get a good indication of where Oba's going. Maybe that thing I mentioned earlier with Trick is the plan. I don't really know. But if it is indeed the plan, and if it happens to be Trick's swan song in NXT, I would assume this would probably be the last match, even though I feel like he really did what he needed to do, because we know he's not winning. But if it is, then yeah, it's the last match, and Trick would be off to the main roster. But we'll see what we're going with there. But that is NXT. Like I said, didn't want to spend too much time talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It was an all right show, just not a lot to really go into.
I mean, like, who's Eddie Thorpe? That's my comment.
So, I mean, that actually, I do not blame you in the slightest for that. So now we have our main event of the evening. We have the Hot Topic. And it was TNA's massive week, because there was a lot of things that transpired between TNA. And pretty much just to give you guys a good idea when it comes to the Hot Topic, when we close out our shows, it's pretty much a bigger discussion piece for the episode, where we dive deeper into a news piece. It's like a PLE, pay-per-view from a show outside of the main roster, WWE, or a topical discussion on the overall direction of a company, talent, or situation. So, contracts up or not resigned. So, when it comes to that discussion, and that's normally a discussion a lot of people are curious about when it comes to a certain person's contract expiring, so-and-so is a free agent, so and so left WWE, so and so left TNA, so and so left AEW, New Japan, etc., so on. So a certain woman who had a great match on TNA Genesis, which was my personal match of the night. Jordynne Grace had a match in TNA Genesis against Tessa Blanchard, and that was her swan song in TNA. That was pretty much her last match. Tessa ended up going over in that match perfectly fine, because we already knew where Jordynne Grace was going. And Jordynne Grace, if you saw the highlights, you saw the match itself, she did fantastic. Jordynne Grace is a beast.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see her get in the ring with people like some. Honestly, just spill the beans before we get into it. Jordynne Grace is already headed to the Performance Center straight off the bat. So we already know she's heading to WWE. You want me to break another news? I mean, wasn't a secret. So yeah, well, how do you guys thoughts on this? What are you guys thoughts on the whole Jordynne Grace
I was
to
say
WWE?
This, as somebody who's not have known TNA for so long, that's just bad on my part. I was never tribalism. I just never opened my third eye into the other pro wrestling world outside of WWE, ECW, and WCW. But when it comes to TNA, Jordynne Grace, I have gotten to know her because of last year, the crossover that NXT and TNA had with the women division and the characters of the Rascals going in. And by the way, the team of Faxium and the Rascals had their match tonight. Haven't seen the results, but I know that's going on tonight, or it has happened already.
I think I saw it. So.
And what's the results?
Looks like Fraxium went over. So
yeah, they went over.
Makes sense.
Not too surprised. So,
makes sense when they're still holding the titles, and I don't think that would happen on on a TNA house. But for Jordynne Grace, makes total sense for her to be going to the Performance Center. Is a big speculation that if this was her last match in TNA, she's still in her prime time, in her peak season, to be in a top star, and for her to go in at the perfect opportunity. The Royal Rumble is literally around the corner, aka next weekend. So when you guys see an episode 2 of Grappling with the Week, 2 days later is Royal Rumble on that Saturday. So we're literally around the corner.
Yeah, and she's only 28 years old, so she has a long road ahead of her.
She has a long time.
So it's like,
and the thing is too, like sorry.
Oh no, I'll ask you.
Oh yeah, because like I don't see Jordynne Grace staying in NXT either. Like, especially if they're doing the this crossover with TNA a lot more. Like, put her on the main roster. So I think she's main roster ready.
I feel like they are.
Like you could put her in there.
If you're gonna put her in which one? Well, if you ask me to put her Raw, SmackDown, I'll say put her SmackDown right now. If not SmackDown, put in the Raw to help the woman division with Rhea right now as well, and help that division, because right now we don't have Becky and other superstars. Yeah. But it's hard to say once the Royal Rumble comes out, once we know the actual woman division after the trade-in right now, then we can have a better type of picture of who is where is where, and who got who.
Yeah, so just to chime in there real quick, the only reason why I said that is because SmackDown already has a lot of ladies there. They got Bianca, they got Jade, they got Charlotte coming back, they got Tiffany Stratton. Nia Jax is probably only on Raw just because of this little spiel of her and Rhea. After that, she's probably going to be at SmackDown because she is a main event player. She's proven herself. And she also mentioned comments about Tiffany on Raw recently, so obviously she's not done with her. But just to sum it up, I mean, they already have a lot of ladies over there on SmackDown, and I feel like Raw needs it more. So because when you think about the main eventers that they really built on Raw, all they really have is Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, which we know she's coming back. More than likely, whoever Seth is, she's going to be. We got Rhea, Becky, got Liv Morgan, and then as far as I know, that's it. That's it. Just there's 3 ladies on there. So Jordynne Grace would factor in.
Bayley.
Oh yeah, Bayley too.
Bayley,
so you got 4 there. So Bayley would factor in there perfectly. Could they put her on SmackDown? Sure. But at the same time, I feel like if they really wanna show off, they're gonna put her on Raw. And I feel like
go ahead.
And I feel like when she does come at the Royal Rumble, when she makes her debut, I am pretty confident that she's probably going to go to the main roster, because I feel like they probably did that little
Yeah.
thing with her for NXT just to start up that whole entire TNA thing. But since she's not really a part of TNA anymore, she's going to be with WWE, and she doesn't really have to prove anything in NXT, and they already have a lot of top names for the division. Like, even if they pluck Roxanne out, they still got Julia, Stephanie Vaquer,
Yeah.
Soruka, and Zarya there. So she doesn't really need to go down there. So I definitely see her going to the main roster. She has quite a few reactions of Rhea on social media, so that would be the perfect place to really put them, to really help build that little friendship that they have starting soon.
Yeah.
And to add that comment about Jordynne Grace, if she does ever go back to NXT, there's no rush for her because she's young, because of what drops out about her age. So she has time. If she wants to get back the NXT Women's title in the future, there's no rush where a girl could just come back to a random night or random time and just have a quick small run for her. So also that's not too stressful because they have done that before, aka with Becky Lynch when she had to complete her Grand Slam, title win. So it's an opportunity now, and now it's questionable now. Like, is she still considered a Grand Slam now that she doesn't have the mid card of the IC and the US title on Raw and SmackDown? That's so questionable nowadays.
Probably. I would assume all of them are.
Yeah.
Do you have any things you want to say about Jordan Watkins?
That was pretty much it, really.
Yeah.
I just see her more on the main roster.
Yeah, I do too. I'm hoping they make
Yeah.
that decision because, like I said, she doesn't really need to like hone her craft in NXT because she's already a great wrestler. It's
Yeah.
mainly NXT's
like-
mainly for people like Julia and Stephanie Vaquer to understand the system, and then a lot of people that are already from around here. It's just them starting off and honing their craft there before we move on. Stephanie,
Yeah.
I mean, Jordan's been around for a while in TNA, so she's already got used to the whole thing.
Yeah. So
Josh Alexander, speculations on him. He had an I Quit match with Mike Santana. More than likely, I did hear his contract was ending around the 15th, 17th, around there, which actually falls into the Vengeance Day time. So Josh Alexander is somebody I can easily see being in NXT only for a little bit, not that long, only because he has history of Ethan Page. They have a tag team known as the North, so they can easily factor that in if they really want to build a story with that. So if Sean really wanted to bring Josh Alexander into NXT, he can make his debut at that Vengeance Day pay-per-view. So I do see Josh Alexander being WWE bound. Probably not for super long. Could easily see him coming back around post-Mania. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
the only thing I do is just the fact that the reason I think NXT is exactly what you said earlier. They need the male talent.
Oh yeah, yeah, they definitely do.
They need some people down there to kind of boost them up. But that's really the only thing I have to add.
I don't have anything much to add for Judge Alexander. My apologies for him. I don't know much about your resume, so I can't add too much on context towards him. I've seen a bit of my homework. I did homework on who he is, but I haven't learned too much to give any info. If he joins, then I will learn more about you, and when I find the time, I'll get to know more about your history.
All right. So another thing we had was PCO destroys the Vash's favorite wrestler. PCO destroys the digital media title at a GCW show. So like I stated earlier, this was a GCW show that was taking place around the same time TNA Genesis was going on. They were actually on at the same time. And PCO had a moment where it was a shoot, it wasn't a work. A lot of people thought it was a work because that's what we've grown accustomed to at wrestling. It was a work. He was frustrated with TNA. He didn't really like the sort of direction he was going. He destroyed the digital media title at the GCW show. He was saying how he was selling a lot of merch and all these different kinds of things, just showing out his frustration. And I guess he's been done with the company for a while now. So he was just doing indie bookings on the side. And I mean, yeah, that's honestly all I have to really say about PCO. I mean, I never really got super invested in him. I know he was a part of TNA when I tuned in to watch it here and there. But I mean, outside of Jordynne Grace and Josh Alexander, I mean, my eyes are focused more on them. So I mean, I don't really have
Yeah.
anything to say about them.
Yeah, it's just kind of a funny story when you read about it and then like read some of the other things he said, like, oh, I was supposed to sell out shows and I sold more merch and I was supposed to main event with Kenny Omega years ago. It's like, are you sure, dude? Like, I don't hear much about you beyond what this past week has given me. Are you sure you're supposed to main event with Kenny? Are you sure about that? I don't know about that, dude. Uh, Way to burn bridges. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Be interested to see who signs him and who books him because of this. Because it's not a good look for either side. Like, say what you want about what the company may have done to you, dude. You don't act like this. This is not professional.
child.
Like, no matter what, yeah, like no matter what line of work you're in, unprofessional, dude.
It's as somebody who works in the intimate industry, there's some people that fuck me over, some producers, some companies that fuck me over that pay me or issues and stuff. Guess what? Have I acted unprofessional? No. Have I been mad in my own quarters and got pissed off and screamed at the void? And yes, I have. But I would never break a championship and then 5 years later TNA should literally announce a new person being the digital media championship with no problem, aka tonight while we're recording. So on my timeline that there's a new championship, someone named 23. I don't know who the fuck that is. My apologies, but just interesting just to see how
Wait, hold the
23 is a
front
new
door.
digital media championship. Stephanie DeLander and Menace Warner.
Oh,
Yeah. That's
I
what's on the
thought I
top.
thought you meant the championship was named the 23. I was like, wait, what?
No, my apologies. No.
The 23 champion. We just had the 24/7 championship. We don't need 23.
But
Yeah.
it was pretty interesting to see that happening when you broke this just to throw a bitch fit, and hopefully this worked out for you. Hopefully you enjoyed the repercussion. Hopefully you got what you wanted out of this. If you just want to throw a bitch fit and on somebody else's promotion just to get the recognition and the spotlight and get this little 5 minute of fame of a week, then good for you. Other than that, I'm sorry, my G, PCO. I don't know who you are either. My apologies as well.
All right. So another thing that transpired during TNSA Genesis, and it made its way to social media during the Jordynne Grace and Tessa Blanchard match, was the Tessa Blanchard drama, where she had and the crowd was completely bold with how they were acting, and they had every right to, because she had chants of "she's a racist" at one point of the match. And she even came out tonight. I didn't hear her promo. She was supposed to cut out a promo today. I heard somebody say that she compared herself to Stone Cold in her promo. I'm not sure if that was a troll or something. So
She also said that you could call me whatever you want, but you cannot say that I'm not great. This was the first 15 seconds, guys. I'm right now currently hearing it. In the first 15 seconds, she literally told the audience, you could call me whatever you want, meaning that she's acknowledging that what people call her in her match of that night. And she's telling people that she's still considered to be great, which in my head, I'm like, if people are telling you this and it doesn't bother you, don't you question your integrity?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, because first off, just to get my 2 cents on her, separating, I'll state it like this. She is a very talented wrestler. She knows how to go in the ring, which is why I complimented her on her and Jordan's match at TNA Genesis. It was a great match. It was the match of the night.
Yeah.
That I can't take away. The kind of person she is, it's ridiculous. Like, I honestly have no respect for her as an individual because of the acts that she committed and how she's not coming out with a public apology. Like, if you want to do something, at the very least, at least do some sort of public apology to actually acknowledge what you did, regardless if it does anything or not. At least do something along the lines of that, because I didn't even know what the promo was that Vash said until now. But if that's something that you're actually embracing what people were saying at TNA Genesis, and you're actually trying to make that into a character, or you're really trying to work that in, or whatever the case may be, that's not a good look. So to me, regardless if you're playing a heel or not, I mean, just embracing what people said and just ignoring it right off the bat. Like, oh, you could say whatever you want about me, but you know I'm great. Like, yes, we know that you're very talented. A lot of people even came out and said, we can't take that away from you. You're the daughter of one of the four horsemen. Many years ago, if things were headed down the right direction, you would have been main eventing WrestleManias with Charlotte Flair. Just gonna say that off the bat. You honestly probably would have had a really good fucking story to tie into that too.
Yeah.
When it comes to both of your fathers,
especially being like having that connection. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but like Watkins said, you know, that's a way to burn bridges, just like how we discussed a PCO when it comes to like the whole Tessa Blanchard thing, like just not atoning for what you did, not coming out with an apology, not doing this or that. So it's like I can't really blame the audience for reacting this way, and still doesn't change the way that I feel about her. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what you guys' thoughts on this.
Like, I will say, for those that want to know the quick last 20 seconds I heard it, I'm going to quickly give the synopsis on top of my head. She said that the wrestling standard in TNA has changed. She is the standard, and that she also took out the trash last week, and that she didn't mention Stone Cold in this quick 45-second promo that I saw. I don't know if there was a different promo or online or different clip that was not seen yet, but I'm watching it from the TNA, Twitter account itself, and she just said that the wrestling standard has changed, and time to step up or time to shut up. So it felt from this 41-second that, as somebody who doesn't know much of her, I felt like she was speaking through a void, trying to get sound, and the whole crowd is just booing her this whole time.
Yeah, because she pretty much has nuclear heat. But let's see what Watkins says, because I want to give him some.
Yeah. I mean, really, the only thing I have to say is the fact that you're getting people from Texas chanting "you're a racist" to you.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's just like, on Raw when we had Punk give that that Hulk Hogan line. It's like, because they were in Texas too, and you had them cheering that line as well. Like, that means something's wrong with you. And apologies if you're from Texas, but just know there's a reputation of Texas. There's just a reputation of the South. Just know that it exists, but just the fact that, again, you got Texas of all people, of all states, to boo you and to chant "you're a racist." It's like, maybe there's something wrong with you. Maybe you do need to look inside yourself. And like, even on top of that too, like somebody had mentioned Tessa Blanchard on Twitter to Chelsea Green, and she responded quickly. She's just like, yeah, no, we don't need that bully racist in our company at all. Like, no, get her out of here. Yeah, yeah.
It just shows when everyone's on the same page about somebody being as toxic and negative in a work environment, it means you're not healthy. So, but when somebody is saying on Twitter, or even look, when the fans are saying the said thing they said this past weekend, that shows you that we don't really like her. Not I'm saying me, but the community itself.
Yep. So the last thing that we're going to touch on before we cut to our outro and pretty much just go from there. We had the official confirmation of the WWE and TNA partnership, where it was made Facebook official, where they're working together. And that's really good business. I'm hoping this is very well for them, because we had some NXT talent show up at TNA Genesis. The one I can remember on the top of my head was Ashante Adonis. I know he had a match with Jake something. It was a whatever match with Ashante Adonis. Just he's a whole character in himself. And then we had can't remember.
You had Fraxium come out.
Yeah, Fraxium
came out. Tag match.
Yep.
And then you had Cora Jade come out after the Knockouts Women's Championship. Yep. And be like, oh, I'm coming after that. So, yeah.
And then we had Ariana
and also Santana
Grace.
showed up. Even though he's not NXT, Santana showed up, and it was something pretty cool to see him in TNA as well. It was her first time appearing, if I'm correct.
Oh, no, he's been there.
Oh, he's been there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's signed. Yeah.
But and then we had Ariana Grace show up like during the pre-show and stuff. So it's nice to see like NXT and TNA talent crossing over, because it's just nice to see WWE talent working with TNA, because this is what I want to see. Like, if we were in a real, like, it would be nice if we were in a world where we just saw stuff like this consistently, nobody was button heads and everything like that. So it's nice that WWE and TNA are having this partnership. I'm hoping it really takes off. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we see like an NXT X TNA Worlds Collide pay-per-view where we have, hypothetically, you got like,
Please, that would be amazing, beautiful.
Hypothetically, you got Oba family going against their world champion in a pay-per-view, or you got their women's champion. Like, you could have like Julia and Masha having a match with each other. Like that's the kind of things I'm expecting to see when it comes to this crossover event. And I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if sometime this year you get like a PLE announced when it comes to WWE X TNA going up against one another. So that's something I'm really exciting to see. People I'm expecting from TNA to be crossing over: Joe Hendry, straight off the bat. He's going to be at a autograph signing around the weekend of the Royal Rumble. So more than likely, you're going to be seeing him in the Rumble come out with his title. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if you see Nick Nemeth come out, because they still have a thing going on with each other. I don't really think that...
I believe in Joe Hendry.
So I don't believe in the slightest that things are over between them. So you'll probably see Nick Nemeth. I'm sure they'll call him Nick Nemeth, not Dolph Ziggler.
I was going to ask you guys that question.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. He's not a part of them anymore, and he's going by that name now. So just stick to its roots. There's no reason to change it. That would be kind of goofy, in my opinion.
No.
But then,
also, who would be dope to see as well? Who would be dope to see as well that just got signed. I know this is something that we could hold off for next week, but since we're still talking about the TNA crossover and everything, would be great to see Mustafa Ali. He also just signed up with TNA, so it'd be interesting to see now what happened to him last year, where he had the opportunity with the North American opportunity with, I believe, with Dominic. Now a year later, I wonder how it would be that if Mustafa Ali, if he will cross over with NXT, now how would that partnership would be? Does he have some scars or wounds still hurt from that happen, or has he moved on where we could reignite that type of fight, or is he going for the TNA stuff out, right now only? So that's also like an interesting opportunity.
Yeah, you probably could see Masha in the Rumble too. I could see her. I mean, she already has crossed over, so it's like I'll probably even see the Hardys cross over too. So it's like I wouldn't even be surprised if you see like Jeff or Matt Hardy in the Rumble, and you get like an interaction between Jeff and Punk during the Rumble, because
that'd be nice,
because they have a lot of history too. And I even remember Jeff saying in the Chris Van Vliet interview that he wants to.
Yes, he did mention that.
He wants to have a match at Punk again. So I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if that happens. Hardys are big names. Wouldn't be surprised. And what does it mean for the partnership moving forward? I hope it helps grow both brands. I hope, especially in TNA's case, I hope it puts them back on the map again like they were all those years ago. I mean, so far it looks like their pay-per-views are selling a lot better, so that's really good on them. So hopefully everything just goes well. They can pretty much showcase their talent, put them from here all the way up there. I'm just hoping for good things for them moving forward.
And for those fans that also think that it's like a monopoly, it's not a monopoly of how Disney, I would say, as a comparison, when Disney having Lucasfilm, Marvel, National Geographic, Hulu, Fox, ESPN, and then other type of avenues, Disney Store, the Disney parks and everything they have a whole monopoly of every type of avenue and money. When it comes to WWE, they are a business and entrepreneur, and they just got their own deal with TKO within the past year and a half. So they have a partnership with TNA. This is not an ownership. This is not a bot. Things could change though in the next 6 months to a year, where the partnership could become ownership, and they become like main roster cannot be Raw and SmackDown officially, and then their smaller versions are NXT and TNA, which if that's the case, that's beauty, because now you have more stories to tell, more intertwining. It just depends now how you're going to merge the stories, how's the booking going to be. It all depends on how the next few months will go. But right now, as examples that we have gotten over the past few months with the crossover of TNA with NXT, with the Rascals and other characters, Now I'm curious to see how is the NXT going to crossover with TNA, because this is the first week already, and with tonight's we have opportunities showing up from NXT tag teams. We have Corey Drake and others. Curious to see now what's coming up in the future, because now the door is open. The forbidden door has been open. Even Triple H and Shawn Michaels has tweeted about TNA, and they never have done that. So this was a beautiful partnership that's been in the works with the company WWE. They have said that big things are coming in 2025, and so far in January already, it's starting off great to me. So this is a big move for them as a company, and showing that their hard work, their businessmanship has been doing well, because they've been having a lot of business talks behind the scenes, and it has worked much better than AEW in their business sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I just want to say, I agree. Just I hope it helps grow TNA
Oh, yeah.
to something that they could really be, and take a lot of reports with a grain of salt. By the way, especially ones that might say, "Oh, WWE's looking to not only buy TNA but use them to be put on TV networks across the land to keep AEW away from them." Take reports like that with a grain of salt, because
Yes.
especially considering certain sources. So just wanted to throw that out there, but
As you should.
hopefully this can only benefit TNA a lot more than it has in the past whenever WWE helps another company.
Yeah. But yeah, that was
I have
our
a question. What do you guys think a game the TNA characters will be added in 2K25? Not that 2K25 is approaching, because I know this will probably be on next
I
week's
doubt it.
conversation, since I think the announcements of this Monday. So I know the 2K25 announcement will be a hot topic for us next week. So what do you guys think? Maybe before this partnership got announced, do you think some legal, probably the TNA characters will be coming in maybe as a DLC or something, as you guys have played the games and have been, like, veterans of the game? What do you guys think that maybe a TNA characters will be added?
I doubt it, just because of licensing
Yep.
and contracts, however they work and all that. So I
And the
would
part of
doubt
royalties
it.
as well, characters being added and everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Drop you.
because that's the thing, you can get
No.
you can get away with that with like creative characters. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I doubt
yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plus,
I'm
it's,
good.
Yeah.
it's too soon, so I highly doubt they're gonna look into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty much our show. This was the first episode of Grappling of the Week. I had a lot of fun tonight
Yeah.
talking about everything. We're not gonna really do any final thoughts or anything. We normally share that for our SmackDown and Raw shows, because there's literally no point into doing that at all.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you guys want to say like any last few words before I get into the outro, or
I will say this, chat. Hopefully you're listening and watching. Hopefully you guys have checked the time code, the description. This is a show that we want to launch and talk about the promotions and news coverage of things that we discuss. A big inspiration of us is to the team. A big shout out to Cutaholics, and a big shout out to JD from New York. They have done their own versions of news coverage and their own promotions, and we want to have something of our own and having to discussion. So any feedback, any comments about the segments and conversations we have added about the news or the show we did will be gladly appreciated. So thank you for listening. And don't worry, new layouts and new graphics are coming in the works. So we'll be having a bit different of things. But thank you for listening to us. Watkins, any thoughts?
I mean, just stay tuned for our other shows coming out. We're entering a very busy time, so there's gonna be a
Yeah.
lot of stuff coming out. So just pay attention,
Yep. So I want to thank you guys for listening to Grappling with the Week. Before we head out, as always, be sure to follow us on our social media platforms. You'll see everything down below. Always make sure to go after the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us before, during, or after our shows. Feedback is always appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Grappling with the Week is presented by Anime We Studio. Thanks to our production team for all of your hard work. Thank you for joining us, and shout out to Stu for helping us with the recording of this podcast. So I guess that's very fitting, knowing how this is John Cena's retirement year. And have a good night, everybody. Me, Watkins, and Vash will see you guys for tomorrow's coverage for SmackDown, and we will also be there for the coverage of Saturday night's main event on Saturday. So it's going to be you're going to see us actually 4 times this week. So next 3 days you'll see us
great.
quite a bit. So see you guys in the next one.
You can see us.